Welcome into Primetime.
Ahoy there, good sir.
Hello, my friend. Patrick Harris with you today.
Ye of the golden smoky pipes.
I'm right here, baby.
It's been a while since we've done anything together, but every time I'm with you, I instantly become. I've got voice envy.
Voice envy.
Yeah. And that's a lifetime of I'm hoping Marlboro Reds and genetics, but I just wish I had that very gravelly voice. I'm jealous of people. Like singing voices are always one of those. Anyone that can sing.
I got both.
Yeah, I'm envious of that. But when you've got that great, just smoky, gravelly Irish bartender sort of just, I love it. Big fan.
Well, what's great about it that I haven't done a show that wasn't my show for maybe a year. Maybe we're talking last holidays, and it's a fun reminder to people that I sounded like this before I was a smoker, and after being a smoker, I still sound like this. So before cigarettes, during them, and now post them, this is just where we live.
Yeah, sometimes just, God or Buddha, Tom Cruise, whoever, the All-Father, they just reach into your little crib and they give you blessings, they give you gifts, and like you can't learn to be fast. You can't learn to be a great singer. No. You can't learn to have a great voice. Now, you can improve.
For sure.
But either you got it or you don't. It doesn't work. But there's a lot of parents that spend a lot of money trying to make little Johnny or little Susie either into the next Usain Bolt or the next Mariah Carey. It's like, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mariah Carey didn't take a bunch of voice lessons and then become the queen of Christmas. Yeah, she just kind of came out singing.
You can travel ball all you want, but you're not the next Bryce Harper. Like, you still got to be Bryce Harper.
Whenever you run into someone like that, it's always, and you don't see him very often. And very rarely does anyone in real life, like you see Bryce Harper when he's young, but even someone that just regionally is different. It's alarming when you see that kid. When I lived in La Center, and I don't know whatever happened to him, but like when my kid was playing like Little League Baseball, there was a little kid from the Dominican Republic, and his family spoke very little English.
Just happened to live in La Center,
Washington. And I was like, of all the places that you end up, how do you end up in La Center, Washington? But he played in La Center Little League for probably about 6 games and then vanished. And they were like, nah, some travel team at like 10 came and got him.
Swooped him up.
Snagged him.
But yeah, dude was like 10 years old. And like, at 10, like it's like your first year of like being able to pitch.
Sure,
like, it's out of coach pitch. This little dude's backhanding balls in the hole. He's just out there just hitting bombs. And you're like, what?
This is not his first time.
No, you're like, well, yeah, that you shouldn't be here. He's just like every game, it's a no-hitter with about, with like 13 RBI. Like, you should probably go find a different level to go play at. And like just a bunch of like angry parents that spend a lot of money on private coaches.
Yeah.
Like, why is that kid so good? Huh?
Don't feel bad, Suk. Even me, somebody with a singing voice, I was at 19 smoking cigarettes trying to sound like Patrick, and it didn't work, so not even close.
Yeah, you're right. You are just kind of born with it. I don't really know when the voice dropped, per se. Like, I don't quite remember.
I'm still waiting for mine. I'm still waiting for that puberty to kick in. I thought with the beard maybe it would come, but it hasn't.
But it's always been lower. Yeah. It's always been lower. And so...
It's a great voice.
And you still have like a higher tenor range too for singing.
That is true.
You're just a total bastard. I'm very jealous of you.
Well, I blame the parents. They put me in piano from 4 to 18. So you mix that with some decent genes, I'm like the 3rd best singer of the 4 of us.
Oh, if I could go back, that's like one of those. Like, if you could have a redo, I would do my life completely different. It's like, again, when you were a kid, no one wanted to do piano. No one wanted to take guitar lessons. No one wanted to, like woodshop was in like auto mechanic stuff. And that's for the dummies. I would go back and do nothing but that.
See, I'm the exact opposite. I would die to be a professional athlete because I have no ounce ever coming towards me.
Dude, it is the most worthless skill on earth. 100%. I made it to like the very top of the heap. And was there for like 8 seconds and sucked, and now there's like nothing cool I can do with. Like, what? Who gives? What are we gonna get down in a stance? At least if you're like a failed golfer or like you wash out in the G League or something, right? You can still go play in like golf tournaments. You can go play pickup games like at the Y or whatever.
Sure.
The hell am I gonna do? You want me to go down to the Turkey Bowl and line up with my bad knees and like?
I was gonna say, you're just lucky you can walk.
Yeah, what are we doing? Like, it's the most worthless skill. It was the worst thing that I could be really good at. If I could choose anything else in the world to be the level at which I was an offensive lineman, I would trade it. Hey, I don't care what it is. Yo-yo, frisbee golf, you name it.
Just
any
something,
skill.
something to pass the time.
Golfer.
Yeah, any
You wanna go
skill.
frothing.
What am I again? Unless you want to go like do some one-on-ones and like go do some run blocking sometime, what good does that skill set do me? Nothing.
See, I think that's interesting because all the athletes wish they would be an artist, and all the artists wish they'd be an athlete.
Oh, that's true.
The only thing that doesn't work that way is most short people wish they are tall. I don't know many tall people that wish they were short.
That's fair.
Man, that's.
I think maybe some
Yeah,
women it might fall into that category, but no men. No tall,
Wembayama, he might wish he
6'3",
was maybe more
6'4",
like
no.
6'10".
Sure.
But-
That is one. Yeah, if you're unless you're
But no
unless,
6'4" guy is like, man, I really wish I'd be 5'8". Let me tell
Yeah.
you.
I'm like 6'3" and some change. I've never been like, well, maybe airplanes. You
I'm
get an airplane-
5'6" and some change.
You get on an airplane or whatever, you wish certain cars, you wish maybe, you were a little
I love
smaller.
concerts. I love concerts as a short guy.
Yeah.
Because
fair.
I tend to go to a lot of concerts by myself, so I just zip, 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 zip.
Weasel your
Then
way
I
in.
wear him.
I kind of you can big guy your way to the front. I do that too. You just kind of excuse me and kind of just shove. but
Shuffle your tush around a little bit.
We call it big guy on your way to the top.
Yeah.
You block your way.
A lot of old construction houses too feel like not really conducive to taller people like you. But thankfully, I think post 1990 builders figured that out. Like,
Yeah, I grew up in a house that was built in the 30s, and boy, don't get wide when you're walking through door frames.
No. When we were over in like if you ever traveled to like the East, Europe's got some of this certainly. The East, you go to Thailand, you go to Indonesia, Jakarta, any place over there, Japan certainly. Nothing is made for you, and I mean nothing. There's stairwells that you will not be able to fit in. It's a rough go. You will stick out like a sore thumb. But I trade inches for hair. Like if you chop me down, a couple inches, but I got like a kick-ass head of hair and Sam Elliott's voice, you could shrink me down
See,
for that.
I
might have to have both.
I have Sam Elliott's voice.
I know, it pisses me off.
I used to have an amazing head of hair, and then I went bald. I don't know if I could trade inches for it. I'd trade other things for it,
I mean,
but I don't know if I could trade inches.
You're 6'4". Would you go? You're saying, a couple, but if you were 5'9" with the most beautiful head of hair a man could have,
Oh, yeah.
You'd do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would too.
5'9" with
But that's
some
also like
5'9" with
an
some
upgrade twice.
Jeff Bridges hair.
Oh,
Hell
yeah.
baby, let's go.
Hell yeah.
I'd take my hair on some dates. I'd be brushing it 100 times a
I
day.
thought you were gonna say Jeff Goldblum. I think he has
No,
nice hair
no,
too,
no,
though.
no. It's all about Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, I
That
guess that's
Momoa
fair.
guy, he's got some good hair.
He's got some good hair.
It's all about again.
I'm worried about Momoa though.
What?
Well, I don't know. I'm just worried that it's like might be thin and stringy, and eventually he's gonna lose it.
It won't matter. That guy could do whatever. It doesn't matter. That dude could rock the skullet and it would still work. Might be the best looking man on the planet. That dude's he deserves to be bald. Screw that guy.
What did I do to be bald,
He's
huh?
the only idiot. He wears like prisoner pants and then like some sort of like unbuttoned blouse with like a glittery unicorn on it.
Or a
and then-
muscle tank.
Yeah, and like somehow you're like, oh yeah, he looks great in it. It's
What
like
great fashion.
it's the epitome of fashion. That guy can do whatever he wants. He makes the worst movies known to man. Doesn't matter. Why? Because he's in them. He just smiles a lot. And you're like, well, my.
I don't think I've seen a single movie with him in it.
Well, we,
I saw Game of Thrones, but I don't think I've seen anything else with him in that.
we went and saw the new Godzilla this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Which go see it. It's freaking amazing. It's all
okay.
subtitled.
That's
Godzilla
fine.
-1,
That's fine.
and it is really well. It's got like 99% Rotten Tomatoes. Like it is a beautiful, beautiful homage to the old monster movies. It might be the best one of those that I've ever seen. So as long as you can get over the subtitle stuff, and if you can't, I don't know what to tell you, man. You
If you made it this far and you can't read, I don't know if I can teach you that.
yeah, it's really, really well done. But at the previews of that, they showed the new one for the Aquaman 2, and oh my lord, does that thing look like a pile of crap.
It looks
And,
rough.
and it didn't matter because my girl was getting all squirmy just watching the previews.
Just seeing Momoa.
And she's like, we're going to see that. And I'm like, yeah, we are, because I know it's going to happen at the end of that movie. So we're going home. And I will, like, that movie's going to get my $26 simply because of what it's going to do to the little Japanese lady
to
next
the post part.
Oh, gosh.
After party.
Probably having it. She was just staring there the entire time.
See, I get lucky that the wife is in the Chris Hemsworth world,
There's
and the
nothing-
Thor movies aren't bad.
No, it was actually
Plus
pretty
Natalie
good.
Portman's in those, and I am very much in the Natalie Portman
Yeah, there
world.
you go.
So we get a little win there. So we both go home and win at the after
My
party.
wife's a Channing Tatum fan, and usually, and by usually I think I mean like 110% of the time, there's always hot women next to him in movies. So
Dude,
it's a watch for me.
you could have her watch golf and just tell her that Brooks Koepka is Channing Tatum.
Oh, she loves watching golf.
Because he reminds
actually.
me of him for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
But with more sexier hair, as
Yeah.
we're getting back to like better hairdos on.
Yeah, I'm
video.
not sure why, but it does. Well, welcome into prime time. Isaac is out until the next year. He is dead, but he will be risen at some point.
I think he's down in wonderful San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah,
A
he's
whale's vagina.
Well, he's got a place down there, so he goes.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, yeah. He
Okay.
goes down there, and like his family, I think is that's kind of like the new hub for the Rob family. I think they gather in San Diego and go and be tan and I don't know, parasail or whatever the hell you do.
Tropical
down in,
Christmas style.
yeah, whatever you do
Worse-
down in San Diego.
Worst places to have the hub. So Rob's out for the rest of the year, so you'll get a little hodgepodge. You get me today, me tomorrow as well, and then what do you got? So you got Nemec for a couple shows.
We're working on it. He's kind of in holding pattern. So but you and me for today and tomorrow, and then you know what, to be announced.
We'll see how it goes.
It's the holiday schedule right now. Just be prepared. Look, there's a lot of shuffling. Think of it like we're NFL quarterbacks at this point.
Yeah, you get a
Maybe-
whole lot of
You
me.
might get some Mike White, maybe you get some Joe Flacco, you get a Zach Wilson, God
Maybe
forbid.
maybe you get a Geno Smith of last year. Someone comes in and just tears it up.
Hopefully
All while
we-
people are begging for Tom Brady to come out of retirement still.
Maybe we get a Trubisky. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what's up.
So we'll see how it goes. We got a lot to get to. Everything's here for the same. We'll do in the news, the Hot 5 at 5, and don't forget the club at 6. This is Primetime with Patrick Harris, Chase Sukanik, 1080 The Fan.
It's the Vancouver Ford text line.
3:17 here. We are live from the shadows of the historic Fremont Bridge. Primetime, Harris and Suk edition. Schultze on the ones and twos. If there's a poll question right now, I ain't got it.
Oh, well,
You
then
guys still do that?
Yeah, we still do the poll, but it's your first time in for a while, so you know.
I don't. I'm not on Twitter. I don't know
I'll
how
throw
it
a
all
poll
works.
up really quick. I just don't. Maybe we can come up with one. I don't know.
So
you know what we do on those days,
What?
because often Rob would forget to do it. We do a mental poll.
a mental poll.
In your mind, you log in to the poll question and then you vote. That's the key to it.
Okay, your mental poll question for the day. Log in and make sure you got some cups in you. Is $700 million too much money?
Depends on for who.
Is
Like,
there
what-
such a thing as too much money?
Depends on. Well, first off, no, there's not. And hey, what's 700 million between friends? And it's not really 700 million.
Right.
It's like 33 mil a year.
Yeah.
Well, 700 mil for the Dodgers, but
It's
not
like
for show.
350.
Yeah, it's like that's fine. It's
You
like,
think,
yeah,
you
it's
think
no big
Gavin
deal.
Newsom's like, oh man, we just got a $350 million surplus over the next 10 years in California. What are we going to do with this?
I'll tell you what. When I saw the number, well, and it's funny. So that happened on, was it Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday, I
Saturday
believe.
that it got announced. So I always wake up. My dog wakes me up every morning, no matter what I've been doing.
Gotta
And
go
it's-
Pepe.
Well, no, he wants to go on a walk.
Oh, okay.
And so you can fend him off for like about 20 minutes, but he weighs like 160 pounds.
This is one of your Akitas.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
he just stands on you at some point. He just puts his feet on your chest and you're like, all right, we're up. So like while I'm walking him, I'll just kind of scroll, Twitter, ESPN or whatever. And like it was Ohtani to the Blue Jays.
Oh,
and
right.
I was just waiting to see
The
the amount.
airplane and all
Right,
that. Yeah.
all that. And then like I'm laying on the couch and my gal looks up and is like, Otani's going to the Dodgers. And I was like, no, he's not. She's like, yes, he is. And I thought she was being dumb. I was like, what are you doing? She goes, yeah, for $700 million. And I literally thought she was being, she was being rickrolled or something. She even showed me her phone and then I had to look it up. I couldn't believe it. I was like, no.
I had the same.
$700 million?
I had the same thing. Joe Fisher texted me because I consistently rag on Dave Roberts because I think he's an idiot, and I thought he might have blown the cover on that. And Joe just texted me, Dave Roberts is a mad genius. Shohei for 700. And I was like, haha, you're funny, dude. Please don't troll me. I'm in the middle of like cleaning my gutters. I'm not interested in this. And sure enough, there it is. So there's your mental poll question. You can also hit the Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. Your dollar goes further, Vancouver Ford. They just write before, during, after the sale. Visit VancouverFord.com. Suk and I are both Vancouver Ford peeps, so we love them.
Yes, there is a Bronco and electric Mustang in my driveway. And of course, the mental poll question is still brought to you. We got to get in all the sponsors.
Thank you.
AAA Heating and Cooling, a family company helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. Is $700 a lot of money? Yes.
Yes.
Everyone answer yes in your mind because that is the old Spaceballs. We're not doing this for the money. No, we're doing it for an S ton of money. And he doesn't even have to move. He gets to stay in his own house.
Yeah, so that's the real question. I mean, this is, it's ground earth shattering. You don't even have to be a baseball fan to have an opinion on this. This is unlike anything we've really seen in America. It's kind of akin, although very different, to like the Leo Messi deal at Miami, where he's, he could be on the hook for like 1.6 billion if it all pans out.
It's like Saudi money, right? Like
Yeah.
you hear these numbers with like Rom and these people like, oh, it's 600 million and or who was the Ronaldo, right? Like that's Saudi Arabia money. That like, you don't hand that out in the United States. That's
No.
not a real number. But apparently it's a real number. Like when he was getting ready to be free agency, the original thought was 500 million, right? And then he gets hurt and he's not gonna be able to pitch. And so people are like, well, maybe high fours, because up until that point, I think Trout 12 for 425,
I think Mookie is also 12 for 430, somewhere around there. Like both those guys are 1 and 2.
So I thought maybe it'd be something in the neighborhood of like 8 years, and then you give him 8 years and like, 460, 470, higher per year, but maybe not the 10 years. Maybe it gets to 500s. 7? Like they increased the largest salary in baseball by like 80 something percent.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, it's almost double. We'll get to deferrals here in a moment. It's almost double what the next player. Yeah, because I think Bryce, Mookie, and Mike, those guys all make north of 40 a year. But this, yeah, you would make 70 a year.
Yeah, because I think the average, like Scherzer is like 43 and a half. There's a couple guys up there into the low 40s.
And they're doing that 2-year option stuff.
2 years option. So it's like 40, like low 40s. And then he just comes off the top rope, fully guaranteed. Fully guaranteed 10 years, 70 million per.
Well, the question is,
really quickly too. Remember, Julio Rodriguez it's not fully guaranteed, but kind of like options added. There was
he could get up to about 300 mil.
No, 470 mil.
That's right.
Over 15 years. So it's guaranteed 12 years through 2034, but he could get 470 through 2039 if certain escalators are hit. But that's about the closest you've seen to Ohtani up until now, I think.
And I think what's interesting the most about the number 700 is, I think you worry sometimes when you see, what a kid like Julio gets, or when they locked up Bregman, when they locked up Acuna and Tatis and stuff like that, how that can kind of reshape how contracts are being doled out. I don't think this one does change how contracts are rolled out. I think Ohtani is just that special of a player.
Well,
that specific of an instance that it's not the next guy that comes around that is the next Ronald Acuna Jr. is not going to get 800 million.
Well, we saw this with Deshaun Watson in the NFL. Deshaun Watson got whatever it was, 300 and whatever, fully guaranteed. And so everyone was like, well, this is the new way of the NFL. And then they went, no.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Appreciate it. But, there's a thing in statistics called an outlier, and that's an outlier. This is an outlier.
Yeah, I mean,
no one's doing this. This is, in my lifetime, whether you want to go Tiger, whether you want to go Jordan, whether you want to go LeBron, Messi, Ronaldo, whatever, right? There's just certain guys that are different. I've never seen this. To me, Tiger might be the closest thing to this from a global thing. Now, Messi, again, being in the United States, it's a little skewed.
Sure.
But I have spent some time overseas, and obviously soccer a big deal. But I don't know if we've ever seen anything quite like Shohei Ohtani, just from on the field stuff, but off the field as well. I mean, he is a cultural phenomenon in a country that loves their athletes, maybe more so than just about any place in the world. He's the biggest deal going in the U.S. as well. I mean, every baseball country, he's different. So no offense to, Trout or Acuna or Vlad or whoever's coming along. You're not Ohtani, and there's not another one, and you may not see another one.
Yeah,
so,
the best example of that, as far as baseball goes, and why it won't change anything. Yeah, he's a couple years older, but Aaron Judge bet on himself.
Sure.
He's an MVP. He's got the home run record for a single season, at least in my books. And he got, what did he get? Let me see. He got 360 over 9 years. That's about par for the course.
Yeah.
I think baseball has kind of hit their par for the course.
Yeah, until
and
he shot 62. It's not par. So
hey, Mookie Betts makes this much money. You're not better than Mookie Betts, so you're not going to get there. And nobody's going to come around. I mean, it'd be rad if they did, but I don't know if anybody comes around with not just the talent of Ohtani, but the insane marketability.
Yeah.
I mean, you were saying you were walking around Japan.
Yeah, when we were in Japan, and this is the magic of Shohei Ohtani. I'm telling you, my family doesn't give two about sports. They just don't. My kids, my kids don't. My gal, no one cares. It's just not. They come down the stairs and they always ask me, who are you betting on? What do you who do you need to win and by how much? There's just not. It's just not a thing in my house. We're casual hockey fans. We grew up going to hockey games, but they're just not diehards. You know who is a big deal in my house? Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
We have driven up twice to Seattle, specifically to see Shohei Ohtani. My daughters have come to me and been like, we want to go see Ohtani play.
Do they think he's dreamy, or is it just like
everything?
It's just everything.
Everything in it. And then obviously my gal being from Japan, you can't appreciate his level of celebrity. So when we were over there, and this isn't one of those, and this is just the summer, this isn't one of those like, oh, you're kind of just, like, oh, it's a big deal and you're kind of talking out your ass. You cannot walk. So Osaka is like the 6th largest city in the world, Tokyo being the largest city in the world. You cannot walk 2 blocks in either one of those cities without seeing a Shohei Ohtani ad. And I'm talking billboards, bus boards, on TV. They do live cut-ins of all his at-bats. And the weird part was, like, we're sitting around watching, like at our parents' house, we're watching the news. They do a 30-minute sports segment every night on Shohei Ohtani and what he did that night. We watched the news. He went 0 for 3 with a walk. They did 30 minutes on Shohei Ohtani doing an 0 for 3 with a walk. You can't buy it. Like when we were going over, it was like, hey, it's customary to bring gifts, right? It's like we always have to bring something. So we were like asking her brothers, what do you want? And they lived in Chicago for a little bit. It's like, hey, can you bring over some Bear stuff? Or, bring me over a BYU shirt because you played at BYU. And they all wanted Ohtani stuff. And I was like, well, why would you want Shohei Ohtani stuff? You can't buy it in Japan. Doesn't exist.
It's all gone.
Gone.
It's all gone.
Gone. So I was like, yeah, I'm like, I can.
It's like that new Barbie at Christmas time that you can't get but 24/7, 365.
Gone.
Gone.
Doesn't exist. That whole country. Like you walk around, it's like, hey, do you have a, like I went over there thinking I was going to buy a Japan World Baseball Classic hat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, they're about $350 on eBay. Because they're gone. And they, as soon as they make any more, they're gone. Think like the rarest Jordan sneaker that releases, that's anything with his name attached to it. So just his level of celebrity there, it's what is the old Sandlot? He's not a god, but he's more than a man. He's like they're Hercules. It's weird.
Well, and the legend's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as reports are coming out from The Athletic that Shohei is deferring $68 million a year.
He's going
to keep his salary at $2 million a year.
He's going to take $2 million a year so the Dodgers can go and do whatever they want.
Deferred money paid out without interest from 2034 to 2043.
He will be paid for the rest of his life. He makes like 40 or 50 million bucks a year on endorsements anyways. And I also read too that this is pretty smart because in California with the jock tax and all that, of that 70 million, he was only going to bring home about 33.
Yeah.
It was like 33.2 mil. He will not live in California when these payments start rolling in. No. So the California and the jock tax and all that, gone. So from a tax standpoint, now you could say inflation or whatever, the dollar may not be as strong, who knows, but from a tax implication, he saved himself a butt ton of money.
There was no way we were getting around this story there was no way we were getting around a show with me on it and not talk about baseball. So
just
here we are.
That the most ridiculous contract in the history of sports just came up.
That was a very blessing from not a god, but more than a man. But what does this implication actually look like for the Los Angeles Dodgers? Let's talk a little bit real. I know it's guess what? The World Series contenders favorites are the Dodgers. Yeah, well, no S. But let's talk about this arm situation, 2 Tommy Johns, etc. What all that's going to look like. Primetime with Isaac and Suk. But first, we'll go to Schultze with sports.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by X Golf. It's indoor golf season. Check out X Golf in Vancouver or Tualatin, in the home of indoor golf. Online at xgolfpnw.com. First on The Fan. In college football, some breaking news in just the last 30 minutes. Oregon center Jackson Powers Johnson, who was named a first-team All-American by the Associated Press earlier today, has announced that he will declare for the NFL draft. Also, more bad news, but expected, Ducks running back Bucky Irving has declared that he will forego his senior season and enter the NFL draft. North Carolina quarterback Drake May also announcing he will declare for the NFL draft. But some decent news for you Beaver fans. Notre Dame announcing their quarterback Sam Hartman will not play in the Sun Bowl. The Portland Trail Blazers back in action tonight, visiting the Los Angeles Clippers. Jeremy Grant still out since he's in concussion protocol. DeAndre Ayton and Malcolm Brogdon questionable. The Clippers 13.5-point favorites tip off at 7:30 p.m. on Root Sports. In a simultaneous doubleheader for Monday Night Football to wrap up Week 14, the Dolphins host the Titans as 14-point favorites on ESPN. Then the Packers taking on the Giants in New York on ABC. Green Bay favored by 6. Both games kicking off at 5:15. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schultze from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The Odyssey app is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, podcasts, and of course, your home for 1080 The Fan.
Your home. Your savings.
Coming up at 4, we'll have Stock Watch and 4:30 in the news as well. I've got some fun stuff lined up for the club, including a challenge that I'm going to need to see come to life at some point. But sticking right here with Shohei Ohtani news that he has signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers, 10 years, $700 million. We were talking a little bit about the deferral of $680 million.
Bobby Bonilla style.
Yeah.
Can we, finally, as a Mets fan, can we stop making fun of the Bonilla stuff?
I've never made fun of the Bonilla stuff. I think it is absolute genius. Do you know the Nationals are going to be paying Max Scherzer for the next 20 years?
Hey, the Mets are paying him this year too.
You're telling me, I know. He's getting paid by 3 teams?
Yeah.
The Reds have been paying Ken Griffey Jr. for years.
Yeah, so,
still to this day.
The idea of being 60 and you've made $500 million in your career and somebody keeps writing you a check every January 1st for 1.17, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm totally in.
Yeah, so
I wish I could defer everything that way.
I think it's a pretty it's a smart move on his part because
It's almost not fair for what it does for the Dodgers.
No one has an unlimited supply of money.
No.
Not when you're dealing with luxury tax
No.
implications. And I know the Dodgers have about as deep pockets as you can have in Major League Baseball. But, when
They
you
own everything around the stadium.
Well, when you're paying and their TV deal is gargantuan.
Right.
And they're signing a new one and they're going to get one over in Japan. I mean, they're it's a license to print money, but still, I don't care who you are. Even the Golden State Warriors, you reach a point where you're like, dude, we have to make tough decisions.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing this. But this is the Tom Brady discount and then some. We talk about one of the smartest things Brady ever did was Brady was never the highest paid player. He was never one of the 3 or 4 highest paid players at his position. He always took a little bit less. He always took a haircut to put a better team around him. And we've never seen anything like this. He signed a $70 million deal and he's going to make $2 million a year. It's insane. And so if you're the Dodgers, who cares if 10 years from now you're having to write a check for $60 million? It's almost irrelevant because, again, the Dodgers aren't in a financial tight spot.
I tell you what,
And won't be.
I had a very different opinion on this about an hour ago. I was like, it's a lot of money. I know he's going to defer some, but he's still going to be another 30 million guy on the payroll. With the amount of money you're going to get from endorsements and TV deals, everything you just laid off, this feels like cheap. This feels $700 million at this point to me feels like a discount because he wants to win so bad that you now just signed an Eric Hinsky type contract to have maybe the best player in baseball. So now you sit there with Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, him, Will Smith, and they're in talks with Yamamoto. They have money to spend. Yeah. Everything changed because my question was, is this contract going to pan out? How many World Series do you need to win to make it worth it? What kind of advertising TV money do you need to make it worth it? But if you're taking $2 million a year, this is going to work.
It's the best deal.
There's no way it doesn't.
It's the best deal in all of sports. Just is.
I really want...
Find me another place where you are getting... And this year, it'll be different because you're only getting the bat. And moving forward, we'll see what happens. But let's say if Ohtani comes back, by the way, he's been in the league for how many years?
We're at 5.
5, and
he's 5
been,
years.
and twice he's been the unanimous MVP.
Mm-hmm.
So,
always remember the Angels in the last 10 years have 5 MVPs and 3 playoff appearances.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
0 World Series.
But
playoff games.
You're getting potentially the most unique player in Major League Baseball history, a guy that's still under the age of 30, that's a 2-time unanimous MVP. And you're getting him at $2 million a year. There's nothing like this in all of sports. The only thing that you can come close to this is rookie quarterbacks.
Sure.
But rookie quarterback,
They're not that great of a deal because then eventually you have to pay for them.
Yes. But even I guess it would be the equivalent of Patrick Mahomes, who won 2 Super Bowls. Actually, the second one was when the contract had bumped up a little bit. But that's what you get when you get by year 3, Mahomes was probably the best player in football.
Sure. And
was on a rookie QB contract. That's the only thing that you can kind of equate this to. But instead of getting it for 3 or 4 years, you're getting it for 10.
Do you think this alleviates a lot of pressure off of him? Because when you see $700 million, you're like, oh, God, you better perform. You better win World Series. But when it drops down to $2 million a year, do you think that changes
It does.
his feeling and everyone else's feeling?
It does. And still there's an enormous amount of pressure, but that guy has faced pressure every day of his life. and this is
Probably hence why he's so quiet and
Exactly.
mild-mannered.
the Bryce Harper, LeBron James, Yamamoto when he comes over. There's just guys that when they come over, Ichiro had this. I mean, when you come
The
over,
fur coats.
yeah,
Yeah.
when you come over from overseas or you come out of high school, whatever, and you're viewed as the chosen one, some of us get it tattooed on our back. Say what you will about LeBron. That dude put chosen one on his back and he lived up to it. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16, lived up to it. Bryce Harper, cover of Sports Illustrated at 16, lived up to
We're
it.
waiting on the World Series, but yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's ridiculous what he's managed to do. So I think
Tiger.
pressure comes with that no matter what when you're that level. But yeah, I think not making 70 million a year and just saying, well, it doesn't hamstring my team right now. Because what would happen is, if they fall short, if the bullpen falls apart, if the starting pitcher goes to crap, the first thing anyone's going to say is, well,
If he didn't have 70
if you
million
have
on the
70
books.
million, and now you can't make that argument.
Yeah.
So
Otani eats pressure for breakfast. It reminds me a lot of the Ichiro Suzuki situation. When he came over to Seattle, how comfortable he was immediately. And heck, Shohei's been in America for 5 years. So all of those, like the travel packages that the Dodgers are going to sell now, I mean, they'll probably make $700 million just off of the people coming from Japan to see Shohei Otani for the next 10 years. So I wouldn't, he's going to be feeling right at home. And heck, he's been in LA already for the last 5 years. He's not having to move at all. It's just a change of destination where your job is now.
I saw an article, it might have been from Yahoo. It's one of those I saw over the weekend when this was like on Thursday when everyone thought he was going to Toronto. There's like 20 plus members of the Japanese media that live in Los Angeles to cover him. He has his own media horde that just have to live in Los Angeles and follow his every move. And the article was saying how it was going to upend their life because they were all going to have to move to Toronto. So I guess much of these media people were all looking at places to live and, uprooting their family and all this. And it's a hell of a lot harder to get back to Japan from Toronto.
That is true.
So there's like 20 Japanese media members right now that are just like thanking their lucky stars that he
I would
cracking
much
the
rather go to
champagne.
LA than Toronto.
that he changed his mind and they don't have to move to Toronto. That's how big this guy is. He has his own traveling media.
I don't, real quick, and then we'll get out of here on this because I could talk Otani for days. I don't believe Toronto was ever really an option.
Now you think it was just a smokescreen sort of thing?
No, I don't know if it's a smokescreen. I think Toronto was serious in what they offered. They probably offered him north of 600. Probably didn't get to 700, but probably offered him 600 million. I don't think Shohei ever listened. I think he knew he wanted to be a Dodger.
And
I
then
think
eventually would get it done.
Yeah, I think guys like Hideo Nomo, who paved the way for people coming over from Asia to play in Major League Baseball, and just the fact that they've been in the playoffs 10 out of the last 10 years and they've won a World Series and they're constantly competing and you get to live where you already live.
And it's a direct flight and not even a bad one back
Yeah,
to Japan. You can
I-
hop on a flight to LAX and I think it's like 10 hours on a direct flight and you're back.
When
Or in
the-
this case,
when-
just take a private jet.
When the Yanks say we're not interested, it's because they know they're out.
Yeah.
And I think it's because people I think Toronto probably said we have a shot at this because it's an international market.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't know how you're going to leave. LA.
Are you saying maybe that the camp of Shohei Otani used the Blue Jays a little bit as a bargaining
I
chip?
don't even know
maybe?
if it's. I don't even know if it's that. Especially if you're going to defer, because if you're going to defer this much money, that money was probably already on the table to begin with.
Probably.
Nobody's like 500 mil with defers, 700 mil with defers. Plus, I think the Dodgers probably wanted him more than he wanted them.
Well, it's certainly if you're looking to sign a new media rights deal, if you're looking to do something to kind of get over the hump, even though I guess you've already won one, but I mean, look, it's the largest move in maybe in baseball history. You know, not just from a number standpoint, but I mean, he really is.
It'll go down.
He's different.
It'll go down with free agency. It'll go down with the strike. It'll go down with steroids. It'll go down with Red Sox selling Ruth. It'll
Sure.
be one of the top 5
Yeah.
biggest things in the history of the sport.
If
If not in all sports.
Yeah, I mean, you have one of these, Gretzky getting traded to LA.
Yep, it'll be up there with that.
LeBron taking his talents to
South Beach.
I
Yep.
mean, every now and then there's just like pebbles into ponds create ripples, and every now and then it's not a pebble. Every now and then someone just drops a effing boulder, and it doesn't create a tidal wave. It creates a tsunami, and this was the definition of dropping a boulder into the middle of the damn Pacific Ocean.
Well, we got time to see how this bad boy pans out. I, for one, am excited / kind of mad because I don't want the Dodgers to just steamroll everyone, but I'm excited to see what good players look like on good teams. When we come back, a little bit of college football nuggets. Dylan Gabriel and Suk brought up an interesting coaching change that could have a another bolder ripple throughout some of college football. We'll do that next. Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Oregon Ducks football is on.
The Vancouver Ford text line coming in 503-864-6326. Your dollar goes further. OSU, WSU to the rest of Pac-12, quote, you'll get nothing. and like it.
Yeah, Wilner had this, the San Jose Mercury News, over the weekend, that, with the stay on the ruling right now is no one can do anything in the Pac-12 without it being a unanimous vote, right? And obviously this is being appealed, and this is going to be a long, drawn-out fight, but nothing can happen. Well, I guess every December they distribute about $60 million, so it's about 15% of the total payouts, and it always comes in December, so roughly $5 to $6 million per school. And so all the schools were like, hey, it's December, like, here's your money. And Oregon State and Washington State went, yeah, no.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. We're not doing that. And everyone was obviously pissed about it, and they were saying, hey, I thought we were understanding that we were going to fight about future monies and assets.
This is the money we made this year.
This is the money we made this year. This is about, our athletes that are currently competing and will compete for the rest of the year. And Oregon State and Washington State basically released a joint statement saying, we're the only ones that matter. We're the only ones that take the conference seriously at this point, and it would basically be silly of us to allow, I think what was the term, allow conferences to collect money, drain the Pac-12 resources without any sort of debt liabilities. They were just like, no. They're like, no one's getting any money.
Well, there's two things on this. One, I have to first and foremost, for those of you that are listening to these Golden Pipes for the first time, go Cougs, baby. Proud alum, 2008, Pullman, Washington, baby. And number two, Jason, I'm all in for a good spite fest.
See, this is the only.
I'm all in for it, especially when I get to be on the side that is spiteful. Can you imagine big timing? You're basically big timing USC, UW, and Oregon and saying, you know what, losers, you can't do anything about this. We're the cool kids.
I think it's a bad look, but
it's a total bad look.
Because this has nothing to do with future monies and assets.
Right.
This is money that rightfully belongs to those schools.
It sure does.
But I understand at this point, gloves are off. But this is why I laughed at that judge, that was like, no one's going to be allowed to take advantage of anyone and not under my watch. Well, you've got this going on right now. This is not going to end well. I still think, I can't believe that they can't come to a reasonable, solution to all this. And that is essentially give the teams the money from this year.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, Washington State and Oregon State get the war chest. They get all the Pac-12 liabilities and assets. Doesn't sound like the other schools really even are arguing that. They just want the money from this year, and then everyone kind of go their separate ways. They get to keep the Pac-12 name. It seems like that's a fairly easy negotiation to get to, but
and I think
it may get ugly before it gets there.
I think they'll get there, and I think they'll get there relatively soon with it. But I think, Wazoo and Oregon State just want to throw a couple birds to begin with. Well, just keep things a little spicy.
And I guess to be fair, I mean, if they, because
what do you have to lose?
Exactly, because the judge did say in his ruling, right? He said, my ruling is only going to last as long as this gets appealed to the Supreme Court, state Supreme Court. And obviously that happened right away. So, and the Supreme Court said, yep, stays in place. No one can do anything unless you come to a unanimous vote. But he also said, now to be fair, look at where it was coming from. It's coming from Colfax, Washington.
Great city.
Yeah.
It's where the
home of the KKK.
It's the courthouse for Whitman County out there in eastern Washington.
Little creepy. I remember driving through Colfax once and seeing a sign that said "Welcome KKK."
Yeah, there's a Zips and a Subway. That's
nothing wrong with Zips.
Zips is great.
Zips is fantastic.
Zips is great.
But the judge did say, in his opinion, he believes that Washington State and Oregon State are going to win. So he basically was like, "Hey, come to the table. I think you're going to win." So maybe Washington State and Oregon State are saying, "Look, we're already screwed over here. Why not? Why not ride this thing out?"
I mean, take it like a restitution, or like if you beat your wife, you slap your wife around, you get a divorce, she's gonna take a chunk of money, whether she deserves some or not. And this could be them saying, "Hey, you know what? Maybe I need a little bit of sympathy, and you should give me some more."
Maybe maybe they do have the balls. Maybe if they don't necessarily need the money, they've already done the scheduling thing, and maybe they do just hold firm and be like, no, I'm not negotiating. We're going to ride this thing, out. But then you're getting into, potentially years worth of appeals. And so I think eventually there will be a settlement. But the first spiteful salvo has been fired. We'd like our $6 million now. Yeah, about that. Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and put that on pause.
Now, to be fair, Oregon State and Washington State don't get that either.
Well, I know.
It's blocked. So they're like, hey, man, screw you. No one gets this. The whole thing burns.
Maybe they're playing they're playing the long game. Or they're doing the Dave Roberts victory lap before you even know it, you know.
Vancouver Ford text line. OSU and WSU are taking all the money as BS. They're the two smallest media markets. They're responsible for a very small portion of the revenue.
Hey, man, unanimous. Got to vote unanimous.
Look, you can say that, but also
Last time I checked, not your conference anymore.
they did get a big old slice of the D pie. It's amazing that smart people didn't figure this out when they booted Washington State and USC out. I can't believe that no one, because at that point, everyone was like, oh boy, you had to know that the future of the Pac-12 was in serious trouble.
Right.
No one thought to look at the bylaws and be like, hey guys, if we boot UCLA and USC now, we may be setting ourselves, like someone screwed up
Yeah.
by not looking into the crystal ball.
And I don't know if that's a Kliavkoff thing. I mean, I'm sure he's got to be part of it by not letting everybody else know kind of the ramifications. That should be your job as,
Because
as a commissioner.
If they hadn't done that, then they probably have a serious leg to stand on. But man, the fact that they did that, it just puts you behind the 8 ball from a legal standpoint because the precedent has been set.
Not a single, there's a law school at UW. You know, no one at Stanford. No one took a peek at these.
I know. It just goes to show you that we think that people that are in charge are smart. And anyone that's been in a company and has seen the boss or like your CFO and you're like, how is that guy in charge of a potato gun?
Everybody's boss sucks.
Yeah.
There's not a single person in this world that I've ever met that says, you know what, my boss is amazing. Some people are like, I like my boss. My boss does a good job, but he could be better at this or this or this. Yeah. Most people hate their boss.
Whoever was in charge of that in the Pac-12 really dropped the ball, and they're behind the 8 ball a little bit now. And yeah, someone says, you know, it's a tactic to get the departing 10 back to the negotiating table. Absolutely.
Of course it is.
Yeah,
you're big timing the bigger schools.
I just love it. Because probably those schools are like, hey, they need the money too. And Oregon State or Washington State are like, yeah, we do need the money, but we're going to wait a while. Because F you, that's why.
Yeah.
Spite vote.
I'd like to stick in college football and swing around. Speaking of spite vote, and teams being left behind is what I meant to say. Speaking of teams left behind, there could be a whole division left behind as we're seeing some moves going on right now that could alter the landscape of college football even more than you realize, but maybe on a scale you didn't see coming. We'll get to all that next. Loaded second hour. Don't go anywhere. Primetime. Harrison Suk edition. 1080 The Fan. Welcome to the second hour of Primetime. You missed any of the first hour, you can download that of the Service Patriots podcast. Service Patriots, your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan. Patrick Harris here sitting in for Isaac Rupp. Jason Sukanik here as always because he goes to work.
It is true.
He goes to work.
Except for next week when I won't be going to
That's
work.
all right.
I'll be going to Canada. I can't go to Mexico this year.
Why not?
Couldn't find anyone to watch my damn dog. There's some
Can
sort
you
of
take him to Canada?
yeah, I can take him to Canada.
Oh,
There's some
okay.
sort of mysterious dog virus going around.
In Mexico?
No, all over the
yeah. I heard
US.
some stuff like in like the west side of Portland, like some dogs have been getting it.
And unfortunately, we know someone whose like dog passed away, and it's a whole thing. So the whole boarding thing is out.
A little
and then,
scary.
And then over because normally we just take off for south of the border, but so either we board him, which my gal is not willing to do because we just lost our the last 2 years. We've lost a dog each the last 2 years.
Oh, really?
But old age.
Okay.
So we're down to the one.
Boy, we don't see each other that much these days.
Yeah, so I lost my two bulldogs, each like staggered. So
Okay.
year, and now we just have the one Akita,
The big one.
the big one. So we can't board him, and it's really hard asking someone to stay at our house and watch the big fella over the holidays.
Sure.
So we're like, we can drive him to Canada. He loves the cold anyway, so we rented a place up there. So
Are you going to BC?
yeah,
Great.
we're outside of Vancouver. So I will be trading in margaritas and sunshine for
blunts.
for hockey, for blunts, some snow. It will be a white Christmas up in
Good
the
Canadian weed, baby.
Everything's available in Canada on the street. So
They even have full friction lap dances.
Good
as
things
far
will-
as, I know.
well, my lady's going with me, so we may have to.
We have to
Ah,
skip
bring
that.
her along.
Come on, let's go. Come on, Rob. So So I'm here this week though, and then we'll shut it down for the holiday season.
Well, thank you for having me. It's nice to be here. We got Stock Watch coming up in about 10, 15 minutes. We got in the news as well this hour, so this hour's fun. But I want to stick here in college football with a little bit of nuggets here. Jason, you actually turned me on to this. That North Dakota State head coach, Matt Entz, he left North Dakota State after winning 2 national titles to be the assistant defensive coach running the linebacker squad at USC. And you might think to yourself, why the hell would you do something stupid like that? They're 2 wins away from winning a 3rd national title
Dude's like-
since 2019.
Yeah, the dude's like 60 and like 12 in his time at North Dakota State, arguably.
And he looks like your age, like
Yes.
he's young.
And he's like, I'm out of here. And he was making about $400,000 a year and then bonuses or whatever. And he's going to go be the linebackers coach at USC. First off, kudos to USC. That's a hell of a get.
It's a huge get.
You stole one of the best young coordinators in the game from your crosstown rival at UCLA.
Clearly a good recruiter if you're winning natties at D2.
And then you go out and you get one of the best coaches at that level to come be your linebackers coach. But it goes to show you
And that defense needs it.
Yeah, it goes to and by the way, I guess Lincoln Riley is telling Lynn, the new defensive coordinator, he basically said, whatever you want to do. Lynn even said the defensive coordinator, is it Danton Lynn, said Anthony Lynn's kid, by the way, old Chargers coach. Yeah. Yeah, he even said, we're going to have to change the way we practice. And he was like, cool. He basically is telling them, whatever you need from me to play good defense,
Do it.
we will do it. I mean, he understands hey, this is our kryptonite. But I think poaching arguably the best Division II coach in the country, I think it says something about the division that's going on in college football and is going to only get bigger and bigger. In fact, there was another Division II coach from a smaller school. I forget what it was. I saw it today, and he penned a letter basically saying goodbye, saying that he is leaving to take a similar position at a smaller school. He's going to go, be a position coach.
Wide receiver coach, offensive line, whatever it is.
And it was this big long letter, and he basically was saying that the feasibility now of small time football in the face of everything that's going on, there isn't a future there. If you want to make money, you will no longer be at those spots. And it used to be that you could stay and you made a very comfortable living and everything was fine.
$400,000 goes a long way in Fargo, North Dakota.
But the amount of responsibility and just everything that's going to go along with that, everything is shifting towards big time college football. And the salaries are so high now, and the allure is so great. I just the ripple effect you knew it was going to happen from athletes, and now you're seeing it even amongst coaches where, the idea of a coach of that caliber leaving to take a linebackers coach, not even a coordinator, let alone a head coach, because, Klein, the former coach there, he left and took the Kansas State job.
Right.
Like, that's a no-brainer.
That's a great job.
Or you see a guy, Joe Tiller or someone that, that get bumped up. But to leave to take a linebackers coach, it just goes to show you where college football is heading, and there will be a trickle-down effect even to the Division II level.
And if you think about it too, I mean, obviously money is an option. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that.
Or 1AA, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to call it D2 for the rest of my
D2.
life. All right. It's called the Rose Garden for the rest of my life. It's just stuck in my brain.
Yeah.
Obviously money is a factor, and I'm definitely not going to poo-poo and say, oh, they're not doing it for money. But it's also like what you're alluding to. There's no progression. There's no moving up if you don't get out now.
No.
And what I find interesting is to think, okay, $400,000 at North Dakota State. Everybody wants more money for their assistants, correct?
Mhm.
USC does not release their payments, their salaries. They don't have to. They're one of the 2 schools in the Pac-12 that don't have to. Now the Big Ten, but you know what I mean. What are the chances he makes more money at USC than he did in North Dakota State?
100%.
100%.
100%.
You think he's at a cool mill?
I don't know if he...
Maybe not that high.
I don't know
least
if he's
double this
I don't
could
know if
get
he's
there.
at a mill, but I'll bet you that he is. Yeah, I bet he's close. I'll bet you, because it won't just be an assistant linebacker coach. They'll make him assistant,
They said
defense,
he's-
whatever.
they said he's the assistant. What is he's the assistant Oh, I just had it. Our new assistant head coach for defense.
Assistant head coach of defense.
I
So
mean, the highest paid assistant coaches in college football, it's 2.05. That's Garrett Riley, the Clemson OC.
they'll drop him, I'm guessing, $800,000 to start. They're going to give him a car. They're going to give him a country club membership. They'll probably give him some housing subsidies. And all in all, it'll probably be over $1 million worth of value, and then a chance to move up. And this is where this is going. And like I said, the trickle down effect is going to be very, very real. And even to the lower levels, you're going to get squeezed out of it. And do you want to stay at a place where increasingly budgets are going to get tight and you're having to do more with less? It's going to be harder and harder to continue to draw quality athletes there. Or do you want to move up and not only get paid now, but a chance to continue to grow and continue to get paid? And if USC's defense gets turned around, Lynn ends up leaving or he ends up leaving, he'll take the coordinator
Right.
job if Lynn goes somewhere else. Next thing you know, you're making $2.5 million a year. I mean, it's just
And then in 5 years, you pick up the Oklahoma State job,
yes. Yeah.
and then
it's,
you're the head coach.
it's just people at these lower levels now, it's almost being manned exclusively by coaches that are in their 20s, because some of these assistant coaches, so at least he's making 400,000.
Mhm.
A lot of these assistant coaches, like a lot of guys that I played with at BYU have kind of climbed that tree.
Yeah.
Some of them are now coaching at BYU. I got a couple that are coaching, down in Utah. I know one at Oklahoma State. There's one over at Cal. Like you kind of spread out. But talking to some of these guys over the years, like I had a couple buddies that when they were climbing the tree, they were at like Southern Utah. I had another one that was at Portland State. Do you know like what a tight ends coach at Portland State or Southern Utah makes?
40?
If that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought closer to 6 figures. But wow.
Oh, no.
Well, are those like young kids usually? They're
They're
like 23, 24-year-olds, like
they're the
graduate assistant
only-
ages?
They're the only ones that can take those jobs because you can't live.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, these lower levels of schools are going to start being made up by either people that just don't care about money, which is very few people, or the people that are very, very young because it's the only one. So it's just like it's going to become, again, just like a same thing, like a transfer portal for coaches. You're 23 or 24, you cut your teeth at North Dakota State, and within a year or two, God, you got to get the hell out of there because you're on your way up. And it's just going to be a revolving door at these smaller schools.
How far away is the potential, like we're alluding to basically the death of 1AA? I mean, it'll be around, it'll exist, but that gap between 1AA and D1 is going to get larger and larger. How far away are we from that massive gap? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years?
I don't know. I don't know where. I mean, it's always been a challenge down there.
Sure.
But it is. There is a day of reckoning coming.
Yeah.
There just is, especially if some of these bigger programs stop playing these schools. Like if we get to the point where someone breaks away and it's truly the haves and the have-nots, and these schools stop getting those payments. I mean, a lot of these, like, I don't know where this goes unless it truly becomes just really, really small time, taking buses and people making no money and kind of more of a, like non-scholarship Linfield type stuff where, it's just, I don't know where the future of small football lies.
Yeah.
But this isn't just a dramatic shift at the top of the food chain with the FBS and the Power 5 to the Power 4. This will continue to trickle down all the way to your 1AA, programs.
I said this last week. It kind of feels like when Major League Baseball decided to cull like 50 minor league teams and just like say, we don't need all this development. We don't need to spend money on, these teams that I'd say 98% of these players never sniffed the majors. And unfortunately in college football, you're seeing that happening in FBS. So what do you think is going to happen to these Division II schools or 2A or whatever the hell you want to refer to it? They're going to go away, and the University of Louisiana Lafayette's of the world are going to become what was Division II. It's going to suck, but that's going to be the level they're playing at. And those guys that still exist are going to be the ones taking the buses and kind of the smaller schools, maybe hoping to play a big school every few years.
Yeah, this was the coach I was referring to. I wanted to pull it up. He was a Division II coach. He was at Tolscombe, Tennessee. His name was Jerry Odom, and he was the special teams coordinator at Florida and East Carolina. So he's been at the FBS level. And he announced his decision to resign after 8 years, and he had a couple back-to-back winning seasons. And he posted a big long letter. You can go find it on social media, and it's pretty good. And it basically outlines, hey, this is what it's like at the Division II level. And he kind of gives a warning to the next coach coming in. Like these are the challenges that you have to face. So it's really become now, at least according to him, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with this, it's become a place where you really can't make a living.
It's just a step.
It's just a step.
It's just a step. And you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So you get there and, like you said, get out as fast as you humanly possibly can.
Yeah, and that's that's tough because I think back in the day there were a lot of coaches that felt like you could go to a place like that and you just you had like institutions, Frosty at PLU, and you'd have these people that
Tressel could have stayed at Youngstown if Ohio State didn't call.
Yeah,
But,
we've seen this. Bo Baldwin left Eastern Washington and was a very successful coach, and he ended up down at Cal as their offensive coordinator. So like you've seen more and more of this kind of, used to be like you didn't leave those positions unless there were much greater ones at the head coaching levels, but you're
Chip
seeing
Kelly.
But now you're seeing guys leave for coordinatorships, and now you're seeing guys leave for position coaches.
Fascinating to think that taking a step backwards is the smart future step for you.
Yeah.
Well, this ain't your daddy's, this ain't your grandpa's college football anymore, so buckle up as there's more stories like this, I'm sure, to come over the next few years. We come back, it's everybody's favorite Stock Watch. Primetime. Isaac and Suk, 10 the Fan.
The Ducks get VORCE today.
All right, it's everybody's favorite Stock Watch. We do it every single Monday at 4:15. Also, I forgot to mention, you can check us out on youtube.com/1080am The Fan. You can see my ugly face in case you don't, because I know you don't, from Wednesdays from 7 to 9. Without further ado, we'll turn it over to our fantastic producer. We're all a bunch of fill-ins, except for old Sook over there, Jordan Schultze. My man, take it away.
Back to throw, looking left, looking right, pumps, runs out to the left. Throws on the run, Lamb at the 7, and strolls in. Walks all the dogs. Touchdown, Lamb.
That was C.D. Lamb, the opening score for the Dallas Cowboys last night in the Sunday Night Football win for them over the Eagles, 33-13. That marks their 8th straight home game for the Cowboys of 30 points or more. They're now 10-3 on the season. It's impressive starting the year 3-2, now 10-3. I'm not a Cowboys fan. In fact, I hate them, but I got to say, hey, that's pretty good. They had lost to the Eagles earlier this year, obviously won last night. So buy or sell? Do you guys buy or sell that the Dallas Cowboys are better than the Eagles right now? Buy or sell that fact?
I'll kick this off.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'll buy this. I think the Eagles, because I actually think personally this game is a lot more kind of about the Eagles than the Cowboys. I'm not quite ready to anoint the Cowboys. You know, I'm not saying they're good for sure, but Dallas still has that kind of got to prove it to me factor. Same with Dak, same with McCarthy. So as much as I love that defense and the weapons on offense, I'm not quite there. I think it says more about where the Eagles are. Jalen Hurts doesn't look right. That offensive line doesn't look right. There's too many turnovers. Dallas is, yes, better than Philadelphia right now, but I'm not ready to say Dallas is a world beater.
Yeah, they're better. The Eagles are still going to win that division. If you look at the Eagles,
It wouldn't shock me.
the tiebreakers, if everyone wins out, if Cowboys win out and the Eagles win out, Eagles win.
Yes.
And if you look at Philly's schedule, I'll pull it up here. So they have Seattle, which is that's
It's a tough out.
It's at Seattle Monday
tough
night.
out.
It's a tough out, but then you got the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Giants.
Giants, Cards, Giants. That's nice.
That should be at worst 3-1.
Not a god, but more human.
Yeah. And then when you look at what Dallas has going on, Dallas is much tougher. I think they got Buffalo coming up. Yeah, they're at Buffalo, at Miami, and then the Lions, and then at the Commanders. So the Dallas has a much, much steeper road. So Dallas has to almost be perfect because there's a good chance that Philly, let's say Philly goes 3-1. So Dallas to me is the better team. Philly probably still wins that division, meaning you're going to get a home playoff game. Dallas is going to have to go on the road, but at this point, I don't see how I could look at Dallas and say that they're worse than Philadelphia. They just got done smacking them around, and Philly all year has looked a little bit like a fraud. Dare I say it's a little bit like Kansas City. The record was really good, but you looked at it and you're like, yeah, man, I don't know about this. And now I think you've seen the wheels come off both of those a little bit, although I think Kansas City is losing by a hair, whereas Philly just has been smacked around now by the two, what I believe, truly elite teams in the NFC.
They could have lost that first game too.
Yeah, so Dallas is better. I still think that they are a huge step behind San Francisco. I think there's a huge gap between San Francisco and everyone else. But to me, the second best team in the NFC right now, and I think it's pretty easy to me, it's the Dallas Cowboys.
How many of those games where they scored more than 30 points were on grass? That's the question. I don't know if I need the answer because I think the discrepancy, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think the discrepancy of what they score on turf versus what they score on grass is wildly different.
Yeah, they showed that like a week or two ago.
Yeah, and so you're right. Going on the road in Buffalo, boy, I like Buffalo in that game, like lay the big wood down on that game sort of thing.
I've never seen, man. Offensive offsides in that moment, man. Terrible.
Yeah, that's Pat Mahomes after the game, talking to Josh Allen following the 20-17 loss the Chiefs experienced to the Bills. They had a go-ahead touchdown. Travis Kelce threw a perfect spiral to Kadarius Toney, and that ended up being called back because Toney was standing on or over the line of scrimmage, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people call Pat Mahomes a crybaby today. I agree.
You look like a bitch.
He does,
I'll
yeah.
call it.
Call it like you call it.
And I even wrote in my notes, is Patrick Mahomes being a bitch? Yes, that's obvious. But my buy or sell for you guys, great players wouldn't be great without help from the officials. Great players would not be great. The level of anger that Pat Mahomes showed last night when it did not go his way, when he's struggling to get it right, when his team doesn't have a number one weapon, it just made me think, like, great players without referees putting LeBron James at the line all the time, protecting quarterbacks all the time wouldn't be as good. But I might be overstepping.
Yeah, I would say you overstepped by a Kadarius Toney. Like, you're
Very clearly
you're
overstepped.
Yeah, you're not on the line, my man. You're like 9 yards in front of the line. You're standing in the secondary.
Well, Pat Mahomes would be bitching in my defense.
Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football, period. He's been the best player in football for the last 4 or 5 years. And the same thing with LeBron James. Sure. I mean, look, when you've established yourself and you get calls, yeah, it helps you. But there's a reason why you establish, getting calls, because you're the best player in your sport. And they tend to give you a little bit of a pass. So I don't feel bad, because Kansas City is constantly being told by everybody that they get the benefit of the doubt. And the one time it doesn't go your way, and by the way, Mahomes did say he felt bad the way he approached Josh Allen. He was like, yeah, that's bad. He said, dude, you look like a bitch. You do. And by the way, if you're going to do the whole, it was a penalty, but you shouldn't have called it, you won a Super Bowl last year on that exact same thing on Bradbury in the Philadelphia secondary. So that's the most ridiculous thing. And almost everything about Patrick Mahomes I like outside of his wife. This is the first time that something has happened that has made me truly dislike and root against Patrick Mahomes. Because again, you sound like a whiny bitch.
Yeah, we'll get to more of this in the 5 o'clock hour. But yeah, I'll sell it too. I mean, we talk about superstar treatment in the NBA and how god awful we hate that. I don't think the NFL lives in that same world. I think the only time superstar treatment really comes out in the NFL is a roughing the passer. That's really kind of it. And they don't get it every time. Mahomes might get hit and go down, and it might be a little borderline. They don't get it every time. But that's the only time I would ever say refs truly show any bias in the NFL. Do the refs make more mistakes in the NFL than any other sport? Potentially. I mean, baseball can be pretty bad too. The NBA can be absolutely atrocious, where they just don't even have rules anymore. But the NFL, I think, is one of the better leagues about not giving favorites.
I just can't believe that there's this much outrage. I get it if it's close. My God. And by the way, on that same play, your right tackle was in the backfield again. He's been called for like 1,000 times this year. Andy Reid benched him because he couldn't line up. He was in the backfield again, and they didn't call it. I mean, how hard is it to look down the line? By the way, there isn't a player that's cost his team more games than Toney. If he just weren't on the Chiefs, they would be significantly better.
That is the truth.
It's your own fault. I love this idea of, it was a penalty, but you shouldn't call it. Shut up. It's not that hard to line up on sides, jackass.
Thank you. This is a dream come true. I want to first give thanks to God, for all the glory. He's my rock, my savior. He blessed me with the talents and ability to get here, all the special people here to develop these skills. To Bo, Mike, and Marvin, you guys are amazing. I enjoy watching y'all, but the competition is never over. I look forward to seeing you guys on Sundays.
That is LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels,
So scripted.
winner of the Heisman Trophy. Yeah, he was obviously reading from a piece of paper there. But the debate really went out the window about who was going to win the Heisman after the conference championships. At least on Twitter, it still raged on a bit. But a distant second was Michael Penix, and then third and fourth, Bo Nix and Marvin Harrison Jr. barely even registered, guys, on the voting. But that's not really what I'm focusing on. Jaden Daniels had a great season. But here's my buy or sell. He would have won the Heisman. Do you buy or sell that he would have won the Heisman with the exact same stats and team record at Arizona State?
No, probably
Yeah,
not.
I'm with you. No, not at all. I watched him at Arizona State. He had talent. He definitely had talent, but he was misused on a crappy team with bad coaching. I mean, as much as I'm with you, Suk, I listen to you all the time, and you have every right to bang on Brian Kelly. That guy is one of the biggest pieces I've ever seen in all of sports, let alone college football. But the guy runs a decent program. As far as, everybody's a crook, so we can bitch and moan about that all we want. LSU's a good program. They've got good coaches. They get good recruits. I think Jaden Daniels wins it if he's at Arizona State too.
I don't. I think the SEC thing. And look, he had phenomenal numbers, but a lot of those numbers, look, in their 3 losses, he was average against Florida State. He was average against Alabama. He was phenomenal against Ole Miss.
And they got smacked by Florida State.
Yeah, that wasn't on him. The Ole Miss game wasn't on him, but he wasn't phenomenal in the Bama game, although he did get hurt in that. So take it for what it's worth. A lot of those numbers were in just ridiculous blowouts. He put up comic book numbers. And I think that he goes down as one of the worst Heisman Trophy winners in the history of the sport. I just think it's interesting that so much of the Heisman just comes down. It's the same way like when you vote for president or whatever. Very few people are voting on any sort of like deep-seated, hey, I've looked into his policies.
Merit.
You do one of 2 things. Either you vote down the ticket and you're like Democrat, Republican, or there's like one thing that you gravitate to, right? There's just one thing. Well, he looks presidential, or this one issue. And I think that's the Heisman Trophy, is there's either vote down the ticket, which is traditional power, LSU, ridiculous numbers, or there's like a great Heisman moment. And Daniels doesn't have that Heisman moment.
That's the big thing that I was going to say. Where's your Heisman moment? I saw Mariota do it. I've seen, fill in the blank, Joe Burrow. Hey, baby, there's some Heisman moments in there.
But it's so weird because you could take like Bo Nix, that if Bo Nix if they had won the Pac-12 title game and Bo Nix played exactly the same, right? Let's say that there's a pick 6. Penix throws a pick 6 and Jackson takes it back the other way and Oregon wins. Bo Nix wins the Heisman.
Easily.
Nothing changes.
Easily.
But Bo Nix does it. But because Bo Nix lost that last game to Michael Penix, we're like, well, we can't give him the Heisman because he got outdueled by Michael Penix.
Well, then give that guy the Heisman.
Then give Michael Penix the Heisman for being 13-0 and outdueling Bo Nix. But you didn't because, again, it goes back to I think a lot of people vote, let's say.
Party lines.
Party lines. And the party line is traditional power, East, or Southern football.
The SEC's going to want that Heisman Trophy in there.
And so I think that's where it just went down the line, because I'll flip it, right? Let's say that Daniels, you mentioned, does he win it at Arizona State? Okay. I put Jaden Daniels' numbers at Arizona State and they go 9-3. But I put whatever quarterback you want down at LSU, and he has Michael Penix's numbers, but they're 13-0. And they won the SEC.
That's called Joe Burrow.
I promise you, who wins the Heisman Trophy is the kid from LSU.
Yeah.
So we've seen this with Christian McCaffrey. We've seen it with Toby Gerhart. We've seen it time and time. Andrew Luck.
Stick with the Stanford kids there for a moment.
We've seen it time and time again.
Ndamukong Suh, he could have won that.
It's just really damn hard to win one out here. But if you were going to give it to Bo Nix, and you would have, then you should have given it to Michael Penix for beating Bo Nix. But I said it. The moment that Bo Nix lost that game, I said that Jaden Daniels won the Heisman Trophy, and it's true. And they'll look back on this, I think, and it will be viewed as one of the weaker Heisman Trophies ever given out.
Just too bad because there was actual competition. All right, that is Stock Watch, brought to you by Goldberg and Jones, 1-800-DIVORCE. When we come back, it's time for In the News, but first, there's Schultzy with sports.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop, who make your holidays extra merry with a 28-day dry-aged rib roast from the best neighborhood butcher shop in town. Online at laurelhurstmarket.com. First on The Fan in college football, Oregon center Jackson Powers Johnson. He was named first-team All-American by the Associated Press today, but also announcing this afternoon he will declare for the NFL draft, and actually Ducks running back Bucky Irving joining him declaring for the NFL draft as well, foregoing his senior season. Elsewhere, North Carolina quarterback Drake May also skipping his senior year, going to the draft. Huge news for the Beavers, though, as Notre Dame announcing their quarterback Sam Hartman will not play in the Sun Bowl. The Portland Trail Blazers back in action tonight, visiting the Los Angeles Clippers. Jeremy Grant still out since he's in concussion protocol. DeAndre Ayton and Malcolm Brogdon questionable. The Clippers 13.5-point favorites tip off at 7:30 p.m. on Root Sports. You got simultaneous doubleheader action for Monday Night Football wrapping up Week 14. The Dolphins hosting the Titans as 14-point favorites. That one's on ESPN. The Packers then taking on the Giants in New York on ABC. Green Bay favored in that one by 6. Both games kicking off at 5:15. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schultzy from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
your home for bowl games and the college football playoff.
Five at 5 coming up at the top of the 5 o'clock hour, the third hour, so stick around for that. But today is December 11th, 2023. It is time for In the News. I am your backup bullpen news reporter today, but thankfully I got my trusty sidekick here in Jason Skinnick.
You're like when the weekend news anchor gets bumped up.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm just doing weather as always. I'm just here.
Yeah, if Lester
Never mind.
Holt has COVID, I'm the guy that slides right in.
You're champ kind. I'm just in here, just here hanging out.
Slides
Get a-
right in.
get a
But,
cowboy hat, whammy in it. I'm good.
I've been watching the morning show a lot lately. I just fully caught up with that. That's on Apple TV
In the morning. Oh, is
with
that
Jennifer Aniston.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal.
There's a really good one. I think it's, God, it's been a long time. I think it's called Newsroom.
Newsroom,
Yes,
yeah,
on
with
HBO.
Jeff Daniels.
Phenomenal.
I'm halfway through the first season, so please don't kill me yet.
The morning show?
No, Newsroom.
Newsroom.
Oh, the newsroom's awesome.
Yeah.
The morning show just gets really preachy in season 3. And they make you wait 2 years in between each season.
I'm okay. It was great. Today is National Stretching Day. Shout out Ken Griffey Jr. for that. Jason, I have to imagine stretching is one of the most important things of your life these
It
days.
sucks because I have to do it now, and
Yeah,
I'm here to
you
tell
have
you
to do it.
Throughout my entire athletic endeavor, no one stretched less than me. Like my strength and conditioning coach used to get so mad at me. I didn't really believe in stretching. I just it's what the first handful of minutes or whatever you're doing. Unfortunately, now I have to stretch.
It is a necessity simply to get around.
Every
in the
day there is probably a 15-minute to 20-minute dedicated. I stretch every day because if I don't, it's not gonna go well.
Well, shout out Ichiro Suzuki. That's how he basically stayed off the injured list his entire career.
Yeah, you got to stretch.
Yeah, you really, really do.
You got God's given talent, so juice that baby up.
The older you get, I need to juice it up. Let's go.
You should.
I need to get on that Conseco plan. Yeah, you gotta
Green, clear.
You gotta stretch.
Raise your hand for the YouTubers if you live in Clark County.
Yeah, right here.
Hey, right here. That's 2 of us. So yesterday at 4:09 a.m., deputies responded to reports of a northbound car driving erratically on Northeast 117th Ave near the 9500 block of Vancouver. Deputy attempted a traffic stop of a red Camry, stolen car, in a shock.
Damn red Camrys.
They were on 503, did almost 100 miles an hour. Finally, the spikes came out, and they got that. They seized the car. They arrested 2 of them, found a gun and some ammunition in the car. The third suspect was seen clinging to the side of a semi-truck, leaving the area, and is
Oh.
yet to be arrested.
You know what? Kudos for him from going on the lamb.
That's what I thought.
That's like an old Wild Wild West sort of thing, right? You just grab onto
The
this
train's rolling, and you
Yeah.
just jump on, throw your bag.
I never understood that. I would think that getting on a train would be the easiest way to get caught. You just follow the train.
Yeah, right?
Like, you can't make a hard left, but good for that guy.
And I think it's because you're on horseback and the train's moving, so it's a little harder to catch
Yeah.
up with the train.
It's kind of, that's kind of I can't remember last time I heard of someone getting away by and they saw him.
Yeah, they're like, there he is.
They couldn't follow the questions. Couldn't follow
they give
the
a semi truck.
Maybe it was just one of those like, hey man, you're willing to jump onto a semi, I give you the thumbs up. Oh, yeah, you deserved it. You deserved to go.
Old VPD kind of goes, you know what? We got 2 of them, the car and the gun. We'll let that guy.
Hey, man, I think we've all
It's
run.
like that Poncho and Lefty song.
Exactly.
We could have got him.
Could have got him, but
we
let him go. He'll be in Ohio soon enough, dying old age. Look, we've all run from time to time.
Sure.
It happens.
Sure.
All run from time to time. Maybe it's just because the GTA
never-
6 trailer came out like a couple days ago, but this is very, very similar to playing a game of Grand Theft Auto. Like, I'm running from the cops, I jump into the moving train, and then just stop chasing me. Like, this is real life right now? Really?
If you've never run from the cops,
You're not living.
You're not living. You get out there and mix it up a little
Yeah.
bit more. Take some more chances in your life.
Come on.
Maybe
Live
not
it all.
Maybe not at our age, but like as a youth.
Oh, I'm not running from anybody right now.
Nah, my knees.
You know, my wife could catch me.
I like the
easily.
idea though. Now if I do end up in a kerfuffle, I'm looking for the nearest semi. Let's go.
That's my new escape route too. I'm with you. All right, we come back. I'm going to do the trilogy of Jason Sukanik's news in the greater Portland area. We'll get to all 3 of those next. Primetime. Harrison Suk, 1080 The Fan.
The Fan is on in your home and where you work.
It's just us and no one else.
Good explanation.
The Fan on your smart speaker is brought to you by Red Tail Golf Center's holiday sale going on now with up to 50% off all your holiday golfing needs. Red Tail Golf Center, where they guarantee the lowest holiday prices. Visit redtailgolf.com and tell your smart speaker to play 10
All right, sticking with this, it's 4:51. You got a loaded third hour coming on, so don't forget that. But we'll stick here in the news. I kind of found this fun as a true P1 of Primetime, and I usually catch in the news on my way home every day. I have found the holy trinity of one Jason Suchanik's roaming news reports that he loves talking about.
I hope so. Let's go. What do we have? The homeless on the high seas again? What do I got?
It's not that good, but it's just more kind of updates on your world here. PPS Superintendent Guadalupe Guerrero, you know, the guy who runs Portland schools but lives in San Francisco?
Yes.
He is stepping down.
Oh.
He is calling it quits. His last day will be February 16th.
So he solved the strike, and then like he's out.
And then he's out, yeah. So I don't know if that's like a good thing
I
for
don't know.
him.
I just,
like, hey guys, I did this, and now like make me San Francisco, whatever.
I'm assuming that's a high-paying job.
Or is it like we're pushing you out because you kind of screwed this?
That's what I wonder. But like, I'm assuming that's a fairly high-paying job, like principals, like superintendents. That's a good job.
Oh, you're getting like I think at least high twos for superintendents.
I would
especially the
assume.
Portland Public School District.
But that also at the same time seems like one of the most miserable jobs. Like, I mean, look, I'm not saying I would dig ditches over that, but being in charge of public schools,
At least I'd be in shape.
I'd be fired in like 7 seconds.
Portland Public Schools, this was in 2022, approved a $322,000 contract for Guadalupe Guerrero.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Guadalupe.
He's doing all right.
Good for you. Although, let me tell you what, that job still sucks, but sucks a little bit less when you're making 3 large.
That's
Let's
the truth.
go.
That's the truth.
All right.
In number 2 of things you love to talk about, Tina Kotek, you know, the governor
yes.
of the great state of Oregon.
Oh, yes.
She has her 10 recommendations to improve downtown Portland.
Yes, but more importantly, this is coming from the task force, because if there's one thing that I love more than anything else, I love a good citywide task force. Big fan. Big fan of that task force. I'm waiting for someone to put me on a task force. I've got ideas.
Yeah.
But no one's calling me, the cowards.
You clearly have experience too.
I need that
member of the media,
Yes.
weatherman, news. You clearly know what's going on.
When Mingus Maps wins, Mingus, call me, man. I'm full of ideas. Let's go. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, we need more bald white male representatives of Portland. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Hey, what are you
absolutely.
saying? I know what I'm talking about.
We do need more. Do we have a bald white representative on the?
I mean, Mingus
Because
is
you
bald
got
and
2
black,
that would do
but
it right
not-
now.
Let's go. Yeah, Mingus is bald. But that's
he's
fine.
black.
Let's see. Her ideas are further elevate law enforcement response in the Central City, expand Central City's homeless shelter capacity,
Duh.
increase safe and accessible options for unsheltered people, focus peer-delivered services and street outreach workers,
Love those street outreach people.
ramp up existing infrastructure for effective and speedy implementation of a public use ban, but that needs legislative approval.
Yeah.
Ban the public use of controlled substances and reduce barriers to prosecuting drug delivery.
Hey.
And where we move us to our 3rd story in the trilogy of Jason Suchanik's loves, declare a tri-government fentanyl emergency.
Love the tri-governments. I don't know what that means, but let's go.
This is on the cusp of the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office in a months-long investigation ended in several arrests in Oregon City. 52 pounds of fentanyl was seized.
Yeah.
And most of it was found in a black trash bag in a busted up cardboard box. I saw the picture of this.
Yeah.
That box, there's like fentanyl dust all over. Like if you touch that and lick your tongue, you gone.
Your hoop. Did you see what
Just
happened to the
touch it,
guy
you
that got
can go.
arrested for it?
Uh.
His name was Luis Funes. So he was the guy that arrested in connection with that, with the big giant
You
fentanyl
just
bust.
grab a big lick.
Well, remember, like it was the one where they had all that cash and they had the couple guns and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
So they arrested him and then they released him on bond. He's gone. He skipped his first court day.
Shocking.
Like, how about
Really?
Luis? Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, I
sure he
saw
has
that
money
today.
stashed somewhere else.
Saw that today. Yeah, old Luis. Yeah, he was busted on outstanding warrants and new charges to follow, but was released before they could be filed, according to the Multnomah County prosecutors. And so he had like a day in court. Yeah, he didn't show. He like, I'm out.
Yeah, catch and release. It's one of the best things law enforcement has implemented.
Yeah,
in
he was
last
the
50
lead
years.
suspect in that record-setting fentanyl bust in Portland just last week. But yeah, they got him out. Like they didn't file the new charges in time, and shocker, he didn't wait around. They're like, hey, I think we're gonna file some new charges, and he was like, cool.
Cool. Let me know how that turns out.
Yeah, El Chapo, he has to dig through his jail cell. Portland, they'll let our fentanyl dealer of epic proportions
It's
just
like
walk outside.
that's the most Portland thing I've ever seen. Like we have a record-setting fentanyl bust. 52 pounds. We got the guy responsible,
And he gone.
and he's just gone.
8,000 fentanyl pills and 1 pound of powder. Sergeant Matt Ferguson says that is potentially 11 million doses. Get you, baby. Get you,
Well,
baby.
good thing he's not sticking around to face those charges. Something tells me we're not going to see him for a while. I think the other two are still in custody.
Well, they're not getting out now. They're pissed at old Luis.
Yeah, there was a couple other people that were.
We're now flight risks because of you.
But yeah, like he was the main dude, and yeah, he's not coming back. So just God bless Portland.
Nope, that's it.
We're doing great.
We're doing great. City that works.
Hey, at least we got a task force. And by the way, every one of those things seems like a very reasonable thing.
Sure.
How come we can't do any of them?
They all seem very obvious, and like we've heard those solutions for the past 20 years.
Well, yeah, it just
Like
it all boils down to, why is
Yeah.
the economy so crap? Well, because capitalism rules everything around me.
I think it's more like, hey, I need to stop being a fat ass. I need a task force. What are we going to do? Well,
You could go to the gym.
let's take a walk and maybe
task
eat a little bit
force.
less. And I go, I don't know. It's just merely recommendations. I don't know if we're going to do any of that.
I moved from craft beer to cheap beer. Like, that's the best I got going for me. As Charles Barkley says, I don't lift weights because they're heavy, and I don't work out because I get tired. That is December 11th of 2023. When we come back, the Hot 5 at 5.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well,
twos. Thank you for joining us on this nice little Monday.
It is a nice little Monday.
Monday.
At least it stopped like piss and rain out there, so we got that.
That is quite nice.
It was a light sprinkle. I'll take a light sprinkle
The
at that
last
point.
2 Sundays I drove into the station was like hydroplane. It was not fun.
Yeah, I had to take my gal to the airport on Sunday morning, and it was one of those where you feel like kind of a coward because you're driving like 40 miles an hour on the freeway, but
Yep. Hey, man.
like, and then you get some dipwad that comes flying by you at 70, and you just see his ass all over the road, and you're like, yeah, that's why I'm going 40.
I'll tell you what, man. People don't know this that live in Portland, that don't live in Clark County. When it's pissing rain, like pissing rain, there ain't much scarier than driving across that 205 bridge.
No.
It can be, I don't care how big boy you are, what kind of truck you got, and how long your, is, but like it's kind of real.
Yeah, and it's ever since and I know it's not the same.
Snow, it's two.
The
Snow's the
snow
same.
is the one that really has put some pucker factor in me.
And the guy that drove off?
Dude that slid out. Like he lost control of his car and he ski ramped it. He Peter Panned off the bridge.
Into the river.
I can't help it. And I know there's not the snowbank, but whenever I'm on the bridge now and like it's bad, you start hydroplaning or whatever, that's all I think about. That poor son of a gun. And his last thought where he's like, hey, I'm sliding. Hey, I'm over the bridge. And then he had like however long that is, like 6 seconds to be on the way down to be like, well, this sucks.
I'm done.
I can't, like that has forever, it's like the first time you saw like Final Destination, the log truck thing. Same thing. I read that story and I was like, nope, I'm out.
I spent 2 weeks trying to figure out where he might have got the ramp. And I just decided I just stick in the left lane.
Yeah.
I just hang in the left because the chances of me cutting through the center where there's a bike lane, not going to happen.
Exactly.
I might get T-boned by an oncoming on the other side.
But it's not over the edge.
Yeah, I might not be able to feel anything from my legs down, but I'm not swimming.
The first time the snow hits and we plow it off to the edge like that, I'm in some trouble. I'm gonna
take an I-5. I'm just gonna sit on it. I'll take I-5.
If you see the electric Mustang going 10 miles an hour in the middle, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm not going off the edge of that thing. Not happening.
I'm a coward, but I will be alive.
Coming up, let's see. Got a big old NFL nugget for you here in the 5 o'clock hour. And coming up in the club, we'll take you to a lot of places. We'll talk to you about books. We'll talk to you about Jesus. And
Are you like a Gideon bringing me a Bible?
And
or
I've got some serious things that we need to discuss that has kind of chapped my keys for a little bit.
All about it. I have had plenty of religious people coming to my door as of late. It's kind of been with not the Mormons though. So go figure.
Yeah, you never know. But first,
some random people.
And now the hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions.
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
And hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victorricos.com. Number 5.
Number 5 comes to you with a little bit of somber news. I saw this, and it was definitely one of those like, oh, man, that sucks. Did you guys see that Frank Wycheck passed away over the weekend?
Yeah.
He fell and hit his head.
Fell and hit his head, and there may have been some other things going on. So they, he retired because of concussions. And he was the color announcer for the Titans for a number of years.
The radio, right?
Yeah, he stepped away a number of years ago because of some head trauma-related issues. His brain was going to be donated. He was convinced he had CTE. He was very concerned about all the problems that go along with that. And then this trip fell. So I'm not certain if there's other things involved, but he was very young.
52.
So we'll see what happens. But he was a guy that had battled a lot of post-concussion syndromes and all the side effects that went along with that. So it just, maybe this is something that there's more to it, or maybe it was just a tragic thing where he did trip, fall, hit his head. But yeah, just way, way too young.
I was 14 in the Music City Miracle, and there aren't many more big moments I remember watching as it happened before that than that.
And
It's a big staple for me.
he was a hell of a player. He was a hell of a tight end. Started out as a fullback in college and in the NFL, and moved and was a tight end, couple-time Pro Bowler, and by all accounts, just one of the really nice dudes. But
we still don't know if it was backwards or forwards. LeBron James is named your in-season tournament MVP. And how many people care about this on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. Nobody.
I certainly don't.
I mean, nice for him for his trophy cabinet. I mean, you one of the goats, sure.
Look, it was just weird to see them popping champagne and doing this. It was weird. And we can talk about this because there was a really good article I read today. Because the media is going to tell you that this was like this colossal success, and that you couldn't have gone any better for the NBA. And this article had a really it laid it out that the in-season tournament wasn't the success that you think it was.
Yeah, I've got that on my notes for tomorrow. I'd love to dive into that.
Well, it's just funny if the media tells you one thing, like oh no, this is great. People just buy it. And like, all they say is, the numbers are up. That's their big one. Well, do a little digging into it, and you'll find out that this did not go nearly as well as the NBA was hoping.
If they're ramming a movie trailer down your throat, it's because they want you to see it before the reviews come out.
Bingo.
All right, number 3 is Jaden Daniels is the 2023 Heisman Trophy winner. And we did talk about this a little earlier. I honestly still would have voted for Bo Nix myself. This has got to be one of the kind of crappier seasons to give the trophy out.
It's weird because if Bo Nix hadn't played in the Pac-12 title game, he wins the Heisman.
Yeah, and my phone buzzed the next morning, or it was like after the game ended, my phone buzzed and I got an update that said Jaden Daniels new favorite since Bo lost. And I was like, so the guy that didn't play is now the favorite because the guy that did lost?
Like, I have Jaden Daniels, whatever. You put up big numbers. You were good in two of your 3 losses. One of them you got hurt. But if Bo Nix was the guy and then he wasn't because he lost to Michael Penix, who beat him twice, then why doesn't it go to Michael Penix?
Even as a Duck fan, Michael Penix Jr. got hosed here.
But this happens. It's just really hard for West Coast kids to get the nod. And the moment Bo Nix lost that game, Jaden Daniels won it.
It's so ridiculous. All right, number 2, we got the Monday Night Football tonight has 2 games. Now, we've seen this in the first week of the season. We've seen it kind of in the second week of the season before. Now we're starting to see them in the mid-season. There's 2 games on. They'll be played simultaneously, and the NFL said they, quote, wanted to create a Sunday experience for Monday Night Football.
I'm not certain which one sucks more. I get the Dolphins versus the crappy-ass Titans, or I get the Packers, who seemingly are pretty good now, and Jordan Love,
I'm not sure,
versus Tommy DeVito and the crappy-ass Giants. Can we flip it and get the Dolphins and play the Packers? Can we flex it that way? Because I'd watch that game.
I don't know. The Titans-Dolphins ruffles my skirt a bit. I'd be interested to see if Will Levis can hit that.
You're ruffled by the Tennessee Titans?
Well, just the Will Levis story. That's literally all. See if he drinks another cup of mayo, throws for 3 touchdowns, and suddenly beats the top seed in the AFC.
But you can't tell me that 2 Monday Night Football games are creating your Sunday atmosphere. No, because someone's gonna watch one game, or you're gonna watch Red Zone.
I'm more interested in the DeVito family, like the
partying.
Yeah, they were showing the DeVito family tailgating. I want to go to that thing.
You said some veal cutlets.
Oh, dude, they've got a spread. The DeVito family is from Jersey.
Yeah.
They put out a Soprano-like spread. That thing looked amazing, like the most Italian group of people you could think of, named the DeVitos, and they're out there tailgating. Hell yeah.
And finally, Shohei Ohtani becomes the richest North American athlete to receive a contract ever, however I can phrase that. As he signs for the Los Angeles Dodgers, 10 years, $700 million. Came across a couple hours ago that he will be deferring 680 of that to make $2 million a year.
Yes, for the next 10 years, the Dodgers will pay him $20 million total. And then he's interest-free. He will get $680.
That's half a season of what Mookie Betts makes.
It's insane. It's the team-friendliest deal of all time. But it's really smart in that he makes over $50 million off the field, so he doesn't need it.
And that's going to go up.
It takes the pressure off him and the Dodgers with this idea of, well, you're spending $70 million on him, and if you can't find a pitcher, it's his fault. So they can go out and continue to spend. They don't even have the second or third highest payroll in the bigs right now. So they can go out and spend more money.
They're in on Yamamoto.
Yes. And so if you're Ohtani, like, this makes sense. And by the way, when you're done, you don't have to pay jock tax on this, and you don't have to pay California tax. He is going to save tens of millions of dollars doing it this way from not having to pay
maybe $100 million.
Well, they said of the $70 million that he was set to make, he would have taken home in California about $33 million of that due to taxes. And so now this eliminates two major aspects of that. So yeah, there'll be some inflation and maybe your dollar doesn't go quite as far, but he is going to save so much money in taxes. And for a guy that doesn't need it, this is the ultimate team-friendly deal. If you're the Dodgers, you're just sitting around cackling. Right now. Hey, sorry, Toronto. Kick rocks. Jeez. And by the way, your lineup now consists of 3 of the top 4 MVP guys from last year.
Yeah, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Just to add
And
some,
you still got money to spend.
just to add some final numbers to that, guys, because I am interested in how the average annual value of Otani's contract is going to be calculated. It's not $2 million hitting the Dodgers salary cap. It's going to be more. They essentially try to. You guys were talking about Max Scherzer getting some value. Essentially, they look at the tax value and the future value of monies, and it looks like there's going to be a $46 million cap hit per year. On the Dodgers. So
that's what they're going to try to stick him with?
Yeah, so it sounds like this is, it's not a $68 million a year savings, but gosh, from 70, I mean, that's still 25 mil. That's a huge amount to play with.
All right, the Hot 5 at 5 is brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican, the #1 burrito joint in the entire state of Oregon. Go check out Victor Rico's next time you hungry. When we come back, how much of a bitch is Patrick Mahomes? We'll just say it right there. It's Primetime, Harrison Suk edition on 1080 The Fan. Coming up on tomorrow's show, I'd like to dive into that in-season tournament NBA. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, I got a fun, there's some NFL leftovers, and there's a fun thing for me that I can share with you guys about NFL. So we got a great show lined up for you tomorrow as well. I'd like to stick in the NFL here for the 5 o'clock hour for a little bit, as the talking point that made the rounds today is the explosion of Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines, as there is an offsides penalty thrown as a wide receiver is lined up offsides, but that end of that play turned out to be a pretty big touchdown that could have potentially won the game for them.
Yeah, it's important to remember, too, that the play wouldn't have ended the game. There were still 2 minutes left, minute and some change. There was plenty of time, but it did probably do away with the most exciting play of the year.
Sure.
If you didn't see it, Kansas City was trailing, needed to go down and score. Had a nice, nice little 15, 20-yard completion to Kelsey over the middle, who then turns and pulls a Music City miracle and laterals the damn thing back. And
to a wide open.
Who was it? Was it Tony?
Kadarius Toney. Yes,
yeah,
it was
Kadarius Toney
Toney.
that caught it, runs it in, and you're like, oh my God, what a
Genius.
play.
Brilliant.
Taylor Swift's going nuts. Everyone's losing their ass. I'm sitting there on the couch being like, I can't believe I just saw that. What balls. Kelsey has like wheelbarrow balls. You now understand why Taylor Swift wants to be with him. Like, holy geez. And then, you see the flag, and my first thought was, oh my God, what a ticky-tack flag. I'm like
a holding call or...
Yeah. And then I saw it, and I was like, oh. So when they said that there was lined up in the neutral zone, I was like, oh, how bad does this have to be? And then sure enough, they show it. It's as blatant as anything I've ever seen.
It's as bad as it gets. And, there's a lot of, everybody wants to break it down today. I think this story is getting way more talk than it deserves, yet here we are at 5:15 talking about it.
It's the biggest thing because you've got the biggest star of the game whose team is struggling a little bit, that just lost 2 in a row. They don't lose 2 in a row. It took away, again, the play of the year, essentially cost them a football game. And then the reaction afterwards. Mahomes literally loses. Like, you don't see Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid behaving like that.
And that's where I want to live in this segment, because it's clear as day that he's offsides. He doesn't check with the ref.
And they admit that. They even said after the game, no one, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, who, by the way, did come out today and apologize, because I think they realized that everyone's looking at this and being like, dude, you guys sound like a bunch of bitches. So I think even they have figured that out.
Well, Kadarius Toney was looking right at the ball, too. Can we make that clear? He was looking right at it.
Yeah. So Mahomes and Reid are both saying, yeah, he was offsides. They're saying you can't call that. So basically, what you're saying is, because the play was a really cool play, that was Mahomes' whole argument, is like, you took away that play. So what you're saying is, because it was a really cool play, therefore you shouldn't throw that flag. They threw it at the beginning of the play.
Yeah.
If that had just been an incomplete pass and they call that, no one freaks out. No one from Kansas City would argue with that. By the way, your right tackle, who's been offsides or in the backfield the entire year, he did it again. They could have flagged him for that.
Yep.
So, this idea somehow that the officials shouldn't throw the flag in that instant, they threw it before the ball was even thrown. Of course they're going to throw that flag.
They don't even know what's going on.
The officials came out afterwards and said, normally in that situation, we don't like to be letter of the law. We try to give people warnings. We try to, if you look at us, we'll tell you to bump back. But they said, when something is that egregious, we're forced to throw it. And when you look at it, it was indeed that. He's not in the neutral zone. He's the neutral zone.
He is the neutral zone. He's damn near on the D line.
There's just no way you can't throw that flag.
I think what's more fascinating about the whole thing, at least what's been racking my brain, and kind of like you heard the audio in the 4 o'clock hour during Stockwatch of Mahomes on the sideline. You can get that Service Patriots podcast. I think that's what surprised me the most about this is the absolute freak out, panic. Mahomes is usually pretty cool, calm, and collected.
Yes.
And he lost it there. So the question is kind of...
Well, they're 8-5 now. And, and by the way, that's a culmination of frustration dealing with your receivers. And, Toney has cost them multiple games now.
And that's what I wonder. Is that a frustration of the moment, or how much is that this season might be slipping away from them?
If you ever, we've all, either you're married or you've been in a long-term relationship. I think I'm the only one not married. You poor sons of bitches. But we've all been in that situation, right? Where, you do something, and whether it's you or the spouse just
lights you up.
And you're like, whoa. And, I left my socks on the floor again for the 8 millionth time. That fight is not about my socks. It's just not. It's about the 17 other things that I've done and, at work and, this and that. And there's 17 other things. And then my socks were the catalyst. That was not about one offsides. That was not about that play. That is a season worth of frustration. One, at that particular wide receiver, two, at his wide receivers in general.
Yep.
At three, that they are only a game ahead of the Denver Broncos at this point. That Mahomes, for the first time ever, is going to have to go on the road and play a playoff game. This never happened. Every playoff game he's ever played in has led through Arrowhead.
Yep.
That's not going to happen. He's going to have to go on the road to do that. And so, yes, I think, and by the way, he still has that brother, and that he has to deal with, and potentially his wife. There's just a lot of stuff going on in his life, and that was the culmination. And I think that's why you saw today him to come out and say that he apologized basically for the way he acted with Josh Allen. That was a big game, and you go over to congratulate a guy that you have a lot of respect for, who, by the way, Josh Allen has gone through some stuff on his own, and now you sit there and you tell Allen that the only reason why they won is because of that horse crap call. That's Bush League stuff. He knows it's Bush League. It's just been a very, very frustrating, trying season. And I think for a lot of people, that's really the first time that they have been very critical of Mahomes. He's kind of been Teflon.
And I think that's what's so concerning to me is this is the first time we're seeing him act like this. Yeah, he came out and apologized, but his PR, his wife, his coaches are going to kind of make sure he does that. The question is are we potentially seeing the future Patrick Mahomes? Because I've never thought he's been like this, but I got 2 Super Bowls in 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm the best player in the NFL. I'm making $40+ million a year. Is this not just the crack of this season? Is this potentially a crack for Mahomes?
I think it
might be a little jump in the shark there.
I think it's just someone that's facing this kind of adversity for the first time ever.
And he had no idea that Tony is blatantly offside.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him for being hot.
Sure, because you see this all the time with calls. Like, I've never I can't say for me. When I have held, I know that it's a hold. But I can't tell you how many times when you're in the midst of a game, you don't see anything. You just look down and you see a flag and you see it for its procedure or whatever, and immediately you see it after every game. You're like, this is a bunch of crap. And then you go back, you look at it afterwards, you're like, oh, yeah, that's bad. And he saw that when he went back and looked at it, and they're going to walk it back. But I think this is the first time he's ever faced any sort of real adversity. Remember, since he came into the league, like I said, 5 years, 2 Super Bowls, I think 4 AFC title games, if I'm not mistaken.
In 5 years, how many losses does he have? 10?
Yeah.
He never played in a road playoff game. I mean, this is all new. And yeah, he came from college where it wasn't great, but who cares? Like, his professional career has been razzleberry, Frogurt, and scones.
Now, are you guys asking more about his future legacy as a player, or
just
his attitude?
His attitude, how he's going to hold it together.
Because you could point to many situations
his
where
legacy is solid.
Bill
He's
Belichick,
good.
Tom Brady getting pissed at officials, maybe not necessarily situations where they would or where they should have, and it's like they were getting it right. So I don't know. We see, and we talked about it during Stock Watch, we see big players, really great players bitching like that, but it's just not a good look when you're so wrong, and we've never seen him do that before. Are we going to see him do it again? Because the Chiefs, they ain't great right now.
Oh, that's the Chiefs are going to be fine.
I'm not saying that they're going to fall off a cliff. I'm not saying they're going to go 2-15 next year. All I'm asking is, are we going to see this kind of behavior from him again?
Well, again, how many games are you going to see lost because you're dumbass? By the way, how they haven't gotten rid of that guy's sorry ass is beyond me. Tony should not.
I'd love to see them cut him right now.
It happens with kickers all the time. But
you miss kick, adios.
We've all had bad moments, and this is really the first one that he's had that has really been that people have been critical. I'm trying to think of another time where people have really come down on Patrick Mahomes.
I think they came down on him a little bit in the Super Bowl loss against Brady. The offensive line took most of that.
I would say when you watch that game, dude, Patrick Mahomes, that was a one-man wrecking crew. He had a couple plays in that game where he could have made plays like the ball should have been caught. I mean, he was a one man. That was like Jon Snow versus the freaking
the undead.
The undead. I mean, he has been beyond criticism.
Yeah.
He just has. He has been that good. You can make the argument it's the best 5-year start of any player in the history of the NFL at that position. Yeah. And so I think you're just seeing,
I don't think it's close. Yeah.
For the first time, you're seeing some warts, and I think he'll grow and learn from this. Like I said, I think the fact that he came out today and was like, yeah, it's my bad. But you are seeing a guy that's uber competitive, and like I said, it was a really poor look. I think he realizes that. I think Reed realizes that. Most people in Kansas City probably realize that. And again, if your argument is it was a really cool play, therefore you shouldn't call a penalty before, you don't have a leg to stand on.
It's a piss poor excuse.
You just don't.
They have a get right game. If there is such one, this would be it. Kansas City at New England, 10 a.m. on Sunday. I think they'll hopefully figure some stuff out there.
But you look at Kansas City, and it's the reality of it is, this is why the NFL is so amazing. Is it's just hard to stay on top forever. And the truth of the matter is, they took a step back last year and still managed to win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Right? They got rid of Tyreek Hill. They put a very young defense out on the field, and they found a way to win a Super Bowl. And this year, they had to replace their tackles. That didn't work out that well. Their tackles are not great. The defense has been living up to their billing. But, you lose Juju Smith-Schuster. I think Kelsey is a year older, and believe it or not, I think he has lost a step. He's still phenomenal, but I don't think he's quite what he once was. It's not the same team. There just isn't weapons out there. So when you have an offense that is completely untrustworthy outside of your tight end, 2 tackles that are a bit rough around the edges, you're seeing, even with a great defense, you're seeing a Kansas City team that looks very mortal. And so it's just weird to see Kansas City sitting there at 8-5. But the
5 is wild.
But you look at that 8-5. 3 of those games probably shouldn't be losses.
Mm-mm.
You're a play away. And that's the thing. The beauty of the NFL is you can find tackles and you can find receivers.
Yep.
You can find them asleep. So as long as you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, if you have head coach and quarterback in this league, it doesn't take long for you to straighten things out. And by the way, it also wouldn't shock me if Kansas City figures it out and Kansas City ends up winning the AFC. Let's not act like the AFC is loaded with these juggernaut teams.
No, not at all. And that's kind of, and you're totally right, Suk, that it's hard to stay on top because look who else is struggling. The other team in the Super Bowl is struggling as well.
Yes.
That's where I want to go next.
This league will humble you.
The smallest crack,
real quick.
The smallest crack can become the biggest canyon, especially when it's on Sunday Night Football. Let's talk. Are the Eagles in bigger trouble than the Kansas City Chiefs? We'll do that next. But Schultze with sports.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update is brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge. Online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. First on The Fan in college football, a couple of Oregon Ducks declaring for the NFL draft. That would be center Jackson Powers-Johnson and Ducks running back Bucky Irving, both skipping their senior seasons to head to the National Football League. Also, North Carolina quarterback Drake May declaring for the NFL draft. Good news for Beavers fans, though, as Notre Dame announcing their QB Sam Hartman will not play in the Sun Bowl. The Portland Trailblazers back in action tonight. They visit the Los Angeles Clippers. Jeremy Grant still out since he's in concussion protocol. DeAndre Ayton and Malcolm Brogdon questionable with right knee soreness. The Clippers 13.5-point favorites. Tip off at 7:30 on Root Sports. You got a simultaneous doubleheader happening for Monday Night Football right now. The Dolphins hosting the Titans. That one's on ABC. And then you got the Giants hosting the Packers on ESPN. Both games at this point are scoreless. The Dolphins-Titans about 10 minutes to go in the first, and the Giants-Packers about 8 minutes to go in the first quarter. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schultze from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game from Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Go deeper on the Trailblazers. The Rose Garden Report with host Sean Hyken. Download the Rose Garden Report on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. It's time for Who's Leading the Charge. A look under the hood at the coaches, players, and teams getting it done. Brought to you by Battery Exchange.
We've been doing it together for a long time, 5 years now, and we just figured it out. We know each other's tendencies, what we like to do, and obviously crunch time, we get to our, infamous pick and roll where it's tough to stop. But we feed off one another.
That is Anthony Davis on the Lakers winning the in-season tournaments. He had 41 points and 20 rebounds as they beat the Pacers 123-109. This is one of those things. Anthony Davis, if you play like that, you're a top 5 player in the NBA, but you just don't.
When he shows up, especially against smaller units, he reminds you of why everyone thought he was this generational player. But the amazing part is at 39 years old, that old-ass LeBron is still the best player on that team. Dude's ridiculous.
Absolutely insane. Systems check at 14 area locations. Battery exchange with an X.com.
Don't let the game play you. Sports betting is popular among Oregonians, and those who bet on sports are at increased risk of developing a gambling problem. Learn more at opgr.org or call 1-877-MY-LIMIT. This message is brought to you by VOA Oregon and the Multnomah County Behavioral Health Division.
Winter golf means X Golf on the world's most advanced golf simulators. There's X Golf Tualatin, X Golf.
No, that Will Levis doing Will Levis things.
That was awful.
Lots of people throw interceptions, pick sixes at the 3-yard line to 320-pound nose tackles.
Yeah, it happens all the time. All the time. That was an ugly one. Miami up 7-0
Well, he's not good.
on Tennessee.
I mean, look, not that people can't get better, but Will Levis isn't good.
Yeah.
We do this all the time with quarterbacks where, whether it's Josh Dobbs or we're doing it right now with Joe Flacco, like you have one game and you look all right, especially if it's like a bad team. We're like, and you're like, just wait. And at least with Levis, he's young. But we do this with the Dobbses of the world. Like, who Josh Dobbs is.
There's a reason he's been a backup
We've seen
for
it.
5, 7, 10 years.
Yeah, he had a nice year. Or he had a nice couple games. And then he got benched. And then did you see? Anyone watch Minnesota?
And
Did you see
everyone
that sweet-ass 3-0? Iowa thought that game was boring. I mean, holy hell.
And every once in a while, you do get like a Geno Smith who had a great year and got himself a little extra bonus
And now he's
payday.
back to just kind of being
And everybody knew that Seattle was kind of pay him a little bit as a thank you, but they weren't going to break the bank on him. and he was going to be able to see out the rest of his career until they figure out their quarterback situation.
We do this with Kenny
sure
Pickett.
enough.
We do this with Kenny Pickett. We do it with Ritter. We do it with Sam Howell. We do it with
Fields.
Trubisky. At least Fields. Like, to me, like all of a sudden, this notion that Justin Fields has turned some corner. I'm like, okay, he's done this like 3 times. Where like he has a stretch there, people are like, oh, Justin Fields, and then he goes right back to being Justin Fields. Still, the best thing he does is run around with his legs, but that's up for you to debate. Again, at least he's young and shows periodic flashes of being a competent quarterback. But God, we'd love to sit there and pretend like if we just give Kenny Pickett enough weapons, or if you just give Sam Howell enough weapons, you could really be something. No. He may end up being a serviceable quarterback. He may be someone that if you surround him enough talent, you can win 7, 8, 9 games. But if you think any of those guys are winning you anything, you're fooling yourself. But God, we're so desperate for quarterback play that we will take any sign of success and we just run with it. We grab that narrative and we're like, oh, here we go. It's like Zach Wilson after that Kansas City game. People were like, oh, Zach Wilson turned a corner. Did he? Did you watch Zach Wilson play? And then Zach Wilson comes out this week and again has a very nice game.
27 of 36, 301, 2 tuds. That's not a bad game.
Watch
Are we
people
ready
now
for
like,
it?
yeah, Zach Wilson, see, just needed some time.
Let Rodgers take his time. Don't rush him back because Wilson's finally got his head straight.
We do this. How many times does Lucy have to pull the football away from Charlie Brown before we figure this out? We have just no common sense when it comes to this. Like,
but Suk, I think a lot of it is because everyone's just so desperate to have somebody.
Yes.
It's like Daniel Jones is the best example of this. Is Daniel Jones a solid quarterback? He's fine.
Not $40 million.
Not $40 million, but he...
How'd that work, by the way, this year with Daniel Jones?
Well, yeah, he's out, but he's a fine quarterback. He's better than Tommy DeVito and Will Levis.
I will right out disagree with that. He's not a fine quarterback.
But what I'm saying is that I think people are just so desperate to have a quarterback that we're ready to anoint as soon as possible. Like, look at guys like Herbert and Lawrence who struggle but clearly have talent. We're ready. People talk about them like they're top 10 quarterbacks. Yeah. But tell you what, that Trevor Lawrence I saw yesterday is not a top 10 quarterback. He is just more polished than a DeVito and a Levis and things like that. And I think it just, from fan bases, from media, from everything, the reason we're trying to anoint Josh Dobbs and the reason we want to say DeVito is better than Daniel Jones is because we're just desperate to find somebody that's going to run QB for us.
When you've been fed a steady diet of dog poo,
yeah,
and then someone gives you dog poo mixed in with like some lavender, you're like, it's kind of a little springy here. It's a little zesty. It's got a nice aroma to it. And the truth of the matter is it's still crap. It's just crap sprinkled with something a little bit better.
Yeah.
And you're right that we are desperate. I just wish that there would be some common sense. And look, when you look at like trends, like I think Jordan Love, like when you look at Jordan Love right now, if I'm a Packers fan, I'm cautiously optimistic.
It's a very sneaky optimistic story right now.
Yeah, it was pretty good early, and then it got really ugly. And now the last couple weeks, it's looked really good. The last 3 weeks, it's like, this is something to keep an eye on.
They busted 5 in a row now? 4 in a row now?
Something like that. And he has played well. He's played really well. Like, he isn't just like check down Charlie. He's playing really well. Now, again, to be fair, when you look at who they've played, most of the time that can be like one of those where you're like, well, you're beating bad teams, but he has beaten the Lions and the Chiefs, and the Chargers are a bad team. But, the Lions and the Chiefs, I know that they're not exactly gangbusters, but, those are
Super Bowl contenders.
Those are supposed Super Bowl contenders right now. So, look, I give him a lot of credit. So if you're going to take one quarterback right now that you're going to say, hey, this looks like it could be something more than just a blip on the radar, I'd say it was Jordan Love. And for whatever reason, Jordan Love, I don't think is getting some of the perspective, like or isn't getting some of the the over kind of hype over love that some of these other guys get after these little brief performances. But that's the one that I'm intrigued by. But I'll be damned after 3 weeks that I'm going to sit here and say that Jordan Love is the new Aaron Rodgers. In fact, I've seen people already putting up like the first full 16 games of their career. These are Aaron Rodgers' numbers. These are Jordan Love's numbers. And they love to do that.
Because they got away with doing it for Rodgers and Favre. If you get away with doing it, like doing it with Peyton and Andrew Luck, if you can get away with that succession, then you feel real good. So everybody wants to be the first guy to say, oh, see, I told you Love was going to be just as good. Like the Vancouver Forward text line. How soon until Aaron Rodgers takes credit for Jordan Love's success? Probably not long.
But then there can be a flip side of this, and that's the one where Brock Purdy, no one wants to give Brock Purdy any credit.
Everybody just wants to say, again, the text line, how do you think Purdy'd be on the Steelers
There
right
you
now?
go.
Probably the same as Kenny Pickett. I don't think that's true.
Look at Brock Purdy's numbers. Brock Purdy is
He's
not
smart.
checked down Charlie.
No.
You
Brock
see him
Purdy,
throw the ball compared to Kenny Pickett?
No,
and
he's
yet-
a smart player. Yeah, he's in a good system, but he's a smart player. And I think
it's just so weird how we evaluate quarterbacks. It is the biggest. I don't want to say it's just I say it's the dumbest and most irrational narrative that we have in all of sports. And that's saying something because we love to make dumb, irrational arguments.
I think we've said 3 or 4 ourselves today.
But the way we evaluate and the way we praise, the way we tear down, the way we hype, the way we criticize, there's just no other position in all of sports like quarterback. There just isn't.
Every quarterback in the league can't be a top 10 guy.
No, but fans are I think they kind of get caught buying into the teams really pushing the narrative. Hey, this guy's going to be the guy. And when you're a fan even that detracts against that, you're called negative. I mean, great example. I'm not really in on the Scoot thing for the Portland Trailblazers. People call me negative all over this city. It's like, dude, but if you don't see positive results, what are we doing?
Yeah, you just got to kind of stop and look around. And what we're seeing in Tennessee, I mean, does Derek Carr sound like a good idea in New Orleans right now?
Oh, good
it's
Lord.
like a better smelling poop, like
Well,
you said.
And we do the thing with Tua. It's like, it's Tua gets the same thing as Brock Purdy.
Yep.
There's this idea that if you took
McDaniel's a genius.
if you took anyone and put him in the Miami offense, you took anyone and put him in the San Francisco offense, that they would be great. And that is such, yes, would Kenny Pickett be better in the Miami offense than Pittsburgh's? Yes. Would Kenny Pickett beat Tua? Hell no.
Hell no.
Same thing with in San Francisco. Teams and good coaching and weapons around you, yes, it makes a big difference. But this idea that that these systems that are in Miami and San Francisco or in New England are just plug and play, and that it doesn't matter who you have or it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, that is such a foolish argument. At the end of the day, that is the hardest position in all of sports to play, which I think is another reason why we just kind of get high and low so much, because there's so many ebbs and flows, and you can look decent one week and look terrible the next. And it's like, hey, if you did this, for 2 weeks, why can't you continue to do this? Well, again, there's defenses. They get paid a lot of money to look at you. And once there's film on you, it gets harder. Believe it or not, I think it's easier to have success early when the book isn't out on you. Teams will figure out what you do, and they're going to try to take away your fastball. And so that's another reason why a lot of young quarterbacks, there's those highs and lows, because that's just naturally comes with the position. There's going to be ebbs and flows while you learn to play the position.
And there's another quarterback that we didn't mention that has some high highs right now, but is kind of going through it right now, is Tyreek Hill. Could be in a little rough shape, but he is walking on his own. I want to get to the curious case of Jalen Hurts. We'll do that next. Primetime, 1080 The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Oregon, they have lost a couple of huge names to the NFL draft today. Both Ducks center Jackson Powers-Johnson and running back Bucky Irving had decided to skip their senior year and go pro. This means they're probably out of the bowl game, too.
Yeah, they're not going to play in that. I mean, look, Bucky is on most people's boards, I've seen him as the 5th or 6th quarterback. Powers will probably be the number 1 overall center. Look, this is what happens when you're successful, but there's a lot to replace. You're going to replace Troy Franklin, you're going to replace Bo Nix, you're replacing your center, you're replacing your back. This is why you got to recruit well.
And with the portal and good recruiting, they'll be just fine.
They'll be all right.
Mods PDX, the future of building is here.
The home of
Evans exhaled. Tyreek Hill running off the field. Looked like we had like he got one of the hip drop tackles, and he went down and was grabbing that lower leg, and it was like, oh boy. Anytime you have that hip drop tackle now, everyone just holds their breath. That initially looked like we're gonna be a while without Tyreek Hill.
We were, me trying to be a professional and host the show was a little difficult there for a second as I'm looking at the TV and I'm seeing his leg kind of rolling under that defensive player that was tackling him, and I'm kind of looking around and trying to sneak in there, and I'm just waiting to see his entire knee completely spin.
Yep.
It didn't look like it did. He definitely tweaked it at some point.
I mean, he gets up, and he after being on the ground for a while, he gets up and he doesn't just like run off the field. He's like jumping and yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's going to be okay, but it is that's becoming the scariest play in the league.
And I was just asking you, it's not usually intentional.
No,
it's kind of like your foot slips out, but you grab them.
Well, I don't know. I get why people want to ban it. And if you don't know what we're talking about, it's simply when you grab a guy and it's like kind of from behind or to the side, and you're trying to get him down, you got him around the waist, and so you slide down and you try to drag him down. I don't know how you get that play out of football, because you're not allowed to grab anyone up around the shoulder pads anymore, horse collar.
Right.
You can't go up around the neck.
Right. Obviously, face masks, helmets, those are built in.
Right. Jerseys now you can't really grab because they're taped down and they're skin tight. So if you're not allowed to grab anyone, like I guess, the whole point is you're supposed to grab them by the legs, but it's really hard to grab someone by the legs to initiate it.
Yeah.
So that's the point, is you grab someone around the waist, you grab someone around the chest, and they don't go down, so you just naturally slide down their body.
Mhm.
It's never an intentional thing.
Momentum, etc.
You're just trying to get a guy on the ground. I don't know how you legislate the hip drop tackle out of football. I mean, you can make it a penalty, but I just at some point, I'm not certain how you're supposed to tackle people, because that was the whole point of kind of like rugby tackling.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not supposed to put your head in anymore. You're supposed to kind of go off to the side. But if you go off to the side and you hit them that way around the waist and they don't go down, you're naturally like, you don't just sit there and run with them. You have to bring yourself to the ground. And as you're going to the ground, if their legs are underneath you, then you end up with a hip drop tackle.
Yeah, and I think you could see, I think if you came across a point where it looked intentional, you could throw a flag. I could see that, an intentional kind of hip drop tackle thing. But the reality is, I think what's dangerous, and as somebody who isn't as in love of the NFL as the average sports viewer, is you start really meddling in tackling rules like that, and boy, that is a slippery, slippery slope. Because it's already, like you said, can't do the shoulder pads, got the horse collar out, obviously the helmet's built in, and the jersey's skin tight. But if you start saying that where I grab you around the wrist, around the waist is now what I have to be careful about,
so now
that's a slippery slope.
Yeah, so now you're saying anytime I have you wrapped up, I can't basically go to the ground.
I can't fall. I have to push you down, or you have to push me down.
And if you've ever, some of these guys,
you're moving so fast.
Well, look at Tyreek Hill, for instance. Like, Tyreek Hill isn't the biggest guy in the world,
No.
but dude, that dude is thick. You seen some of the legs on these NFL running backs, or you try tackling AJ Brown sometime.
No, thank you.
You try
Look
grabbing
at DK Metcalf.
Exactly. You try grabbing that guy around the waist and not falling to the ground. You're going for a 9-yard ride every single time. I mean, these guys are built like thoroughbreds. So
half the time you're just there to stand in their way and hope you go down. Hope they go down with you.
Yeah, I understand we don't, and it just made me when I saw Tyreek Hill, I was like, oh boy, I'm with you. I'm like, here comes the broken leg,
Yep.
and here comes another, and here comes another. Let's ban it. If you can tell me how to get it out of the game without basically making tackling in the open field impossible, it's like hitting a quarterback. Now they had one of those in the I think it was in the, I can't remember if it was the Kansas City game I was watching or if it was the Dallas game yesterday, but it was like a defensive end was kind of scrambling and he leaps for the quarterback and he gets it just above the knee at the thigh, and they're like, whew, good thing, otherwise that would have been a penalty. Because like when you're hitting a quarterback, you can't hit anywhere near his chest.
Nope.
Because if you hit him in the chest, part of you hits him in the head.
Right.
Penalty.
And that quarterback's going down.
Yeah.
They know to go down.
Penalty. And you can't, even if you're trying to come in, if you get anywhere near his knees or below, penalty, because you can't go low. you got like a foot long window to hit a quarterback, and then we're going to do that now in the open field as well. It just at some point it's a dangerous sport.
Yep, and you got to kind of let it ride.
And buyer beware, but it sounds like the hip drop thing is eventually going to be addressed, and we're one big injury away. And I really thought that Tyreek Hill play, I was like, yep, this is the one.
Yep, that's it.
You know, I was like, when T.O. broke his leg, that was the end of the
that was the horse collar.
That was the horse collar.
Yep.
And like Pollard broke, and we've had plenty of guys get hurt with the hip drop. Mark Andrews, I think, was the latest one. But wait and see. Like if McCaffrey breaks a leg this year, if you see
if a Jalen Hurts gets his leg broken,
Hurts, we're one.
Lamar Jackson in the playoffs.
We're one play away.
Yeah,
one play away from the hip drop being done away with. And so I watched there. Like Derrick Henry got tackled from behind. Guy grabbed him around the waist and fell down. Now, Henry's legs, watch this play right here. Like Henry's legs don't get tied up.
Right.
But here comes the DB from behind, right? 21, grabs him and goes down. If Derrick Henry's legs get tied up underneath him, is that a hip drop? How on earth in real time when you're trying to tackle the freaking Empire State Building of running backs, how on earth are you trying to tell me what is or isn't a hip drop tackle on Derrick Henry?
You're going to start getting into what is and what isn't holding, in the offensive line. When you say there's holding on every single play, well, you try to just get the egregious, but even that is still, by decision, still judgment call.
Yeah, because it's I get it. It's one thing if it feels like you are purposely sliding down someone's body, but that's still seemingly the only way that you can tackle some of these guys in the open field.
It's kind of the game.
We all want like the form tackle, like when you were a kid. It's like, wow, we're in the open field and you move your feet and you get in front of them and you square up and you drive your hips and head goes off to the side and heads up and you wrap up. That is that's what you learn, and no one ever gets tackled that way.
No.
It's like if you've ever done like a martial arts and like they like, okay, so or you like learn to box or whatever, and it's like, okay, so this is what you're gonna do, right? It's the crane kick. Yeah, if done right, no can defend. Yeah, right until the guy looks at it and goes, yeah, I'm not gonna. It's a whole different animal when someone's trying to defend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sit there, you can punch a heavy bag all you want, and you're like, wait, there's someone else that's gonna try to punch me back. Seems way harder than just hitting this bag.
Yeah.
So these ways of tackling seem all great until you actually have to tackle one of the truly elite athletes in the world, and it just at some point, I just think the NFL either make it flag football or accept the fact that this is a dangerous sport and people will get hurt. And when it happens, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, when you start meddling with things like tackling, it makes me think of like banning pitching inside to hitters because you might drill them. We're like pitching inside is whole part of the thing. I think it's dangerous. So we'll save Jalen Hurts for tomorrow as we'll do our NFL leftovers tomorrow. But coming up, we got the club, and I want to start with a challenge. And I don't know how it's going to go down, but I think you two can help me. So we got a loaded primetime 4 hour. Hour 4?
Hour 4.
I think I just blooped all over myself.
That happens. Hour 4, 4 hour.
4 hours.
You need a 4 hour energy next.
We'll get
Is there
to
a 4 hour energy? I don't need the 5. I just need the 4.
We'll get
Don't
to
do the extra strength. It'll make you jittery.
We'll get to the club hour next. Patrick Harrison for Isaac Ropp on Isaac and Suk on 1080 The Fan. Welcome into the club. We do this every single day at 6 o'clock, hour 4. Patrick Harris sitting in for Isaac Ropp today, but Suk, he's right there. He's still with us.
I'm watching.
Schultze on the glass.
Looking at everyone now tweeting out because of the stupid Chiefs offsides thing. Every time now that someone is lined up anywhere close to the neutral zone.
Check, ref, we're good.
No,
We're good.
Some douche canoe on Twitter, of course, is going to take a screenshot of and be like, "Oh, what about
he's off.
What about this one? This one wasn't called." Oh, God. Sometimes sports fans.
Well, can't there be
I love you out there, but
I'll tell you what, guys. I am Twitter free for about 3-4 years now, and it's
Isn't it amazing?
glorious.
Well, can't
I learn everything about 30 seconds after you. And I'll tell you what, I'm happy.
I need those 30 seconds.
I'm happy.
You're
I know
crazy.
you do.
I
You do.
need those 30.
You do.
I got to be first.
You do. I don't. All
I just
right?
refuse to engage in any sort of debate.
Oh, yes.
I disseminate.
Do you even post?
Oh, yeah, I post.
Okay.
I saw a post from you like a week ago.
I don't post that often. I use it more as just a news feed.
It's a reference, yeah.
It's a reference. But when I do send something out, I don't reply. Like every now and then, if someone says something funny to me,
sure,
then I'll laugh back at it. But like a lot of times, people try to engage me in some sort of debate,
sports talk debate,
and I just laugh and be like, "Yeah, that's not going to happen." I just it was Nick Offerman, the great Nick Offerman, Ron
Offerman.
Swanson,
The
who
great
is-
legendary.
I love Nick Offerman.
I don't know anybody that doesn't.
He's just phenomenal. And he said that once. He was talking about that, and he said, "I use it to disseminate information. I use it to disseminate my views out there, and that's the end of it." And that's me. Like if I post something and someone comes back and yells and screams, that's fine. But you're not getting a response back from me.
Yeah.
Like if you think that we're gonna have some sort of hot debate, I used to go out with a gal, and we'd be doing something. She'd be like, "Hold on, I'm in the middle of something right now." It's like I got to take this person down. I was like, "What are you doing?" It's like and she was like getting like these like gargantuan back and forths. I was like, what? And we had a guy that his name was like Dino something or other. He got a job at one of the other sports stations here like 10 years ago.
Oh, I was there.
And he tried to start some like Twitter war with us. Like he's like, Isaac and Suk are gonna be in the bread line. And he just kept taking like all these
like wrestling from the 90s.
Yeah,
DX
exactly.
takes over WCW.
He used to send me these all kinds of these just like awful, horrible personal posts. Like he would like superimpose like my head on like a little
on Hitler.
Yeah, like all these things. And I just used to just laugh. And he so desperately wanted to engage in some sort of war.
I remember.
And I just used to laugh. And then like a month or two later, he got fired. He got fired. I won the war and never had to fire a single shot. It was fantastic.
Guys, I've got the best story about him getting fired too. He got fired with his mother in the building that day.
Savage.
No,
you can't even let her
it was
leave the
extra
building
savage.
first.
They fired him in the middle of a show. I had to go in during the commercial break, take over for him, and they fired him with his mother in the studio that day.
Pretty brutal.
It was bad.
I just wish I want to run into that guy sometime at a supermarket somewhere and be like, "Hey,
what up, dude?
I remember you.
How you doing?
Driving a cab, you jerk?
How's that bread line going, man?" Like but the idea of just in general, like whatever you think of social media, whatever.
Sure.
It's basically just a bunch of hots posting photos of themselves, and then
Or a bunch of angry high T dudes
a
yelling
bunch
about
of dudes
high T
all
stuff.
threatening, saying, "I could kick your ass," but no one's ever actually been in a real fight in their life. But it's
Right.
like, ah! But just this idea, like of being in an internet argument with someone, I can't think of anything lamer. There's nothing I could do that would make myself more that I would be more disappointed in myself with than engaging in a Twitter or Instagram fight with another human being, especially one that I don't know.
I'll tell you what, this is something I know about you, and I will tell you how I know this about you. I know this about you because you're also not really that way for real life discussions. We're really to have discussions, but you are not the guy that wants to get into a yelling debate match.
No, I
Right,
won't.
right, we won't.
In real life
Yeah.
Twitter, it is not gonna. You can.
Yeah.
And you can. I have friends that are politically on the complete other side of me.
Sure.
I have friends that where they're religious, non-religious. I am open to any sort of discussion. But the moment it turns into who's louder, yeah, we're good. I'll see myself out the door.
I learned this from Hunt for the Host.
Oh,
The year that I won Hunt for the
I
Host.
remember that. That was a long time ago.
8 years ago. I remember there was probably 6 or 8 of us left. And it was a segment with Isaac and Suk. and I was one of the last people to go. And everybody got up there and for some reason was going after you. I don't know if you remember it that way, but it was like, yo, what do you think about the Seahawks, man? Like, that linebacking core is the best I've ever seen. Or what do you mean the Blazers can't win a title? And I was like, God, that poor guy, he just looks miserable up there. He's got to do this job with all these clowns trying to, I'm gonna debate the great Jason Sukanik. I'm gonna show him I'm smarter. And I got up there and I was like, yo, dude, how do you prep for a show? Will you tell me about that? And you like lit up and looked at me and you were very honest and forthcoming. And I got done and you looked at me and you were like, hey, nice job. And I was like, hey, thanks. Because all I did was I could just see that you were like, I don't want to be here. I hate this right now. I don't know who you clowns are, and I hope you lose. You lose. It's like, F you, you're cool, F you.
Well, the problem with it is in general, and I'm not even talking about just like in sports media, but just media in general, that that has become a very successful tool for people. I mean, Skip Bayless calls he calls Troy Aikman gay, like when he's a columnist, and he moves up the ladder, and Stephen A just goes on there and yells, and it's like, you don't want to make an enemy out of me. Why, Stephen A? So that you'll just yell louder, and whether it's whatever person you want on the left, Don Lemon yelling about, Trump, or, Tucker Carlson screaming about this. And so these very hot takey sort of things, it's like this irrational sort of discourse that we have. It's become successful for some people. And if it's successful for some people, then there's a whole bunch of people that try to emulate that. And it's just kind of taken on this new life where you can't have any sort of nuanced discussion. You can't have any sort of rational, independent thought. It's just become, who can make shocking claims, who can yell louder, and who can get enough people to... It's Wild and Out with Nick Cannon. It's just like, who can get enough people to be like, oh, he cooked him! Oh, it's over, he cooked him! And it's just like, wow. Well, I just look... And maybe we'd be more successful if we went down the human piece of garbage. I just don't have it in me. And if you don't think I have it in me, the guy that sits over there where you normally are,
I know he doesn't.
He has less in me than I do.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
You have like the two guys in this industry that just refuse to do it.
Yeah, and I don't mean to honk you, but there's a reason why you're successful. Well, I would like to say that thank you for being that, and thank you for wearing your emotions on your sleeve, because I might not be sitting here with you today. All right, when we come back, let's get into this. I got a challenge that I'd like to shoot across the board and see if you guys can help me figure this out. We'll do that next.
I'll challenge you. I'll challenge you next, right here, right now.
Challenge you harder. 1080 The Fan.
It's the Vancouver Ford text line.
Plenty of time to talk sports today.
One number does it all. 503-864
heated debate as to how to spell each other's names. That is true. That might be the hottest debate we've ever had, is when I couldn't spell Rob's name. So, damn it. And he got mine right, too.
He's a 2A, and you thought he was a 2S?
Yeah, like, there's a clip we have of it. And it's just it's people ask all the time if it's true. And we were taping something, and so we wrote out a script. Like, I wrote it out for us.
Oh, okay.
So we were going back and forth, and on there I put ISS
AC.
And he was reading, he goes, "Do you spell my name?" I was like, "Yeah." And
he nailed Sucanic.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, screw you. I know how to spell your last name." I'm like, "Spell mine." And he spelled it. I was like, son of a
I think you could take a decent shot at it, but I'm not here for that. I don't
Well,
want to be wrong. I don't want to be exposed.
That is
I just want to tell you I can spell your name.
That is a ROP bugaboo, is that like people misspell Isaac all the time. So
Yeah, sure.
ISAAC, which by the way, seems like a really stupid way to spell a name.
I agree.
How is Isaac? How do you get ISAAC? How is that Isaac?
Isaac.
Yeah.
Isaac.
It's not.
Sake.
But then again, Sucanic is SCU, and somehow that's Sue.
Yeah.
Sucanic, and some people even say Sucanic. I don't know.
Or how about KRZY is Sh?
Yeah.
yeah.
I bet you neither of you know how to spell my name.
Jordan? Yeah, dude, it's easy. Come on,
Now
brother.
we're all trying to spell something in a stupid way.
Yeah,
Well, because my mom put an O instead of an A. I think she said it was to, like, on paper distinguish that I was a boy instead of a girl. I have no idea.
I don't know. There's always that, like my kid, like Iserman, his name is YZER. Like, he didn't go by it when he was younger because he got tired of people butchering it.
Yeah.
Because it's YZER and it's eyes. And so, but people would give like a Yaz. And then my daughter is O-Ren. And so she's O-REN.
Okay.
But a lot of times it just is, people don't put in a dash. So people call her like Oren.
Oren. I'm sure she loves that.
She hates that one too. So, I don't know. We all have that weird, no one has ever once pronounced my name correctly. So it rolls off my back. But apparently with Rob, he hates if you misspell, if you drop two S's instead of two A's.
As maybe one of the few people that is actually a true hardcore P1 of this station sitting in this chair, I listen to something that I hear from this station constantly that, my friends, I have to address.
Address away. You said there's a challenge you're throwing down?
Yes. I listen to the boys in the morning, and I listen to you two at night.
As do I. I listen to Dirt and Sprague while I'm walking my dog in the morning.
I don't get a chance to listen to the afternoon show because I'm usually at work, and I'm not usually tuned into that.
You do have to have a job.
I do have a job.
That does happen from time to time.
But let me tell you what just greases my chaps here, is everybody wants to talk about how the great Jordan Schultz and his microphone skills of a singing talent are just God's gift on earth. And my friends, I'm ready to tell you that I'd put large money down that I would destroy him.
Are we gonna have a croon-off? Is that what we're doing?
A large sum of money.
Wow. Because this is like when Tony...
And this is nothing against you, because I love you.
I feel like this is something
You're my
against
producer.
you. Look at
Like
Schultz.
the first person to tell me this in my life.
Schultz is bowing up right now. He's going to do
should
the,
bow
I'm not
up.
taking this personal, but I'm about to take this
My
personal.
butthole's puckering a little
Schultz,
bit.
you know I love you. You're my producer of the Hot Corner every Wednesday from 7 to 9, right after this show,
I've
actually.
never had my singing skills called out and challenged like this.
I've heard some stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, I think I got him.
Because you also are a crooner and a ukulele player.
This is true.
Ukulele. If
I have
get that
a degree in theater arts, piano from 4 to 18.
There you go.
Oh, we're getting a resume.
I don't have a degree.
My friends,
Schultz has a degree in badassery, is what he's got.
I-
a Michael Bublé tattoo.
I got a
Let's not-
scholarship to sing in college.
Oh,
How about
shots
that?
fired.
How about that?
Do you have a Bublé tattoo? Because Schultz does.
Yeah, I got one of my I can't show it on the YouTube stream. It's too high. Not that flexible.
I want to know, how does this get solved?
Well, I think what happens is tomorrow we have an old-fashioned croon-off.
Well, the problem is it sounds like garbage on the radio.
Look, we don't have I don't know what, unless you guys want to go into the booth and record something. So I think we're just getting deep now. So this is what we're doing. All right, boys, this is what we're doing. We're going to have a croon-off. So over tonight, I am going to put together 3 separate categories. We're going to have 3 rounds. I'm going to give you 3 different versions because I don't want to because you guys may have different styles. So we're going to go 3 different distinct styles. And you can pick your song from each one of those that you want to sing. You need to come in here and record. Let's go 30 to 45 seconds of each one of those styles, and then in tomorrow's club, it's simple. It's the best of 3. The first one to win 2 will be declared the crooner of 1080 The Fan. And I think this is how we're doing. We're going to have a croon off. So I'm thinking, and so if you have ideas of the styles that you would want, Vancouver Ford text line, let us know. But I'm thinking, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking maybe we do a standard, which is, we all know, Burt Baccarat style. We do a standard.
Okay.
I think there needs to be, I don't know if we want to go country and western. Do we want to do a country genre?
I mean, we could, but I don't know country as well.
I definitely there should be a power ballad in this.
What about Disney?
Ooh, I could be involved. I kind of like where this is going. We need to come up with 3 distinct styles.
We gotta have a rock song.
Well, that's kind of why I was thinking power ballad.
Yeah, like Richard Marx, like Hold On to the Night or something. I don't know. Is that a power ballad?
Right Here Waiting, that would be a power ballad.
Right. Yeah.
Sister Christian, anybody?
Or like Steve Perry, with
yes.
Journey. Yeah.
Anything involving Steve Perry would certainly be considered a power ballad.
Lying beside you. Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Yes. So I like that already. I got a little tingly there.
I did too. I like
Faithfully,
that.
I mean, you give me some Faithfully. Now we're scratching me where we need to be itched. So I think this is how it goes. So if you've got a genre that you want to hear, throw it out of the Vancouver Ford text line, and by the end of the evening, we will have come up with our categories. And then it is upon you. So you said it sounds crappy live. You can go into one of the many recording booths that we have tomorrow.
We are a professional studio.
And again, we'll do this will be like an 8 Mile thing. I'll even go 30 to 60 seconds, your choice.
You want it a cappella?
You can do whatever you want to do it. You go between 30 and 60 seconds on those 3 genres, and we're just gonna go head to head. It's gonna be the best of 3, and may the best man win, winner take all. I love this. It's about time someone got some balls around here and started challenging some people.
I got it, dude.
Let's
I'm tired.
go.
I'm tired of it, dude.
Sick of listening. You're like, no, I
sick of hearing it. Everybody talks about it, and I'm like, just a little old guy out here.
Well, no one else sings. I don't know if Schulte's ever been challenged. Like,
we did do.
Is there anyone else that sings here?
Not on the staff.
Well, I mean, besides the songbird of our generation, Isaac Ropp. I mean, he's not even fair. If he competes in this, you guys are both toast. I mean, Ropp's prowess when it comes to singing, that's not even fair. That's just that's a professional singing against amateurs. So we take Ropp out of this. But no one else in the station. Like, I've never heard Dirt. I've never heard Sprague. I've never heard Dusty. I've never heard Danny. God knows no one wants me to sing.
I mean, I had that. It was like a mini sing-off with Tony Starlight. I think you were in here, Sue.
Yeah, that was fun. And yes,
I'm gonna love you forever.
I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, you can't beat that.
I just popped in my head. Now, you know what? Damn it, I'm tired of. I want this settled. And if I lose, I lose.
No, I lose.
And Rusty does sing as well. Forget Jeff Rust, who does all.
Rusty does.
Rust's singing is better than everyone's. He's off the table.
Russ sings in a certain way. How do we put that? Bob Dylan may not necessarily be the best singer, but he influences so many. That's the Jeff Rust of 1080 The Fan. And yes, someone is right that the winner of this song needs to record the Jason Suchanek penned 15-year-old classic, A Very Swayze Christmas. Because back in the day, before we actually had vacation time during the holidays, we'd have to do a bunch of crappy holiday shows.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? It's December 22nd.
Nobody's listening. Nobody's on the road. Nobody cares.
So I put together an episode, and Rob was gone. I think it was me, and I don't even remember who was producing. But I put together, for the club, A Very Swayze Christmas. And I wrote a couple of holiday songs, but involving Patrick Swayze. And I do believe it was Tim Taylor.
The great Tim Taylor.
I got to see if we can still find those in the systems. But yeah, Tim Taylor voiced my Swayze Christmas songs.
I mean, he's a rock star.
And one of them was indeed A Very Swayze Christmas, to the tune of I wish you a Merry Christmas, but we wished you a very Swayze Christmas. Yes, maybe the winner of this croon-off can do an updated version of A Very Swayze Christmas. And I don't even know if that's still in the system. That's 10 plus years old.
Well, we're told you can't really delete things, or you're not supposed to delete anything.
Yeah, we need to go back and we need to do some digging in there and see if you can find something entitled. It'll be something involving Swayze and Christmas and voiced by Tim Taylor. We'll see if we can dig that out. But that is due for an updated version. I'm excited about this now, boys. I'm excited. People are saying a polka.
No.
It's what I'm here. I'm ready to put my money where my mouth is. So you can't scare me about anything.
All right. Well, I'm gonna noodle with this, and like I said, before you leave the show, we will have
standards.
We will have a full understanding of the 3 songs or 3 genres for your choosing.
You get a little nervous over there?
You can go from there.
No, I'm like spinning with different song titles in my head like a jukebox, honestly.
Oh man, dude, just go with the classics, dude.
I got like
your guns.
200 classics in my head.
Yeah, man.
I overthink things. Always overthink things.
And yes, this will simply be the poll question. Will be who won the Krunoff. I mean, I can have my opinion, but it will be up to the people to decide.
Let the people decide.
We will let the people. I will not be the sole vote on this.
No,
I can't.
No, we gotta let the people. But that means somebody has to either tell me or do it themselves on how to put the poll question up.
I'm on it.
All right.
This will be a thing. I'm very excited about this. I like this new 10 of the Fan trash talk. We just got done talking about how we're not having like hot takes, whatever. We got hot takes right now.
Got you real fired up, huh?
And the best part about this is, make no mistake about it, Schultz is taking this very, very seriously.
Very, very seriously.
Like, he is being called
I know.
to the carpet right now.
I'm
and
scared to win.
It is on.
I am scared to win.
No, I'm not a sword loser.
I am scared to win, especially because I feel really good about it.
Why are you scared to win? That doesn't even make sense.
Well, because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
So now it's
That's
the
one- it's one of
you know,
those.
I don't want to. I don't want
Schultz,
to.
he's in your kitchen right now, man. He's trying to intimidate. He's throwing high and tight on you.
Well,
right.
You know what? I've
Scoot off that plate, baby.
in my life, I've only been good at like 2 things. One of them is singing.
Well, you can still be good at it.
Well,
okay, like Mariah Carey is better than you. You shouldn't end your life for it.
No,
Adam Levine is on TV and dates hots all day.
Well, his voice is okay.
But his voice is great.
Yeah.
He can be better than you. You can be better than me. It's just.
But I also.
I just
want to
settle the
Might
discussion.
send me to my grave.
I just want to settle this discussion.
I love it. This is exciting. Again, it's not something that I would like. If someone challenged me to like a push-up contest, I'd be like, yeah, I'm good.
Get Ben.
But the fact that you guys want to have a Krunoff, like, I have people show up sometimes like remotes and want to arm wrestle me. I'm like, yeah, no.
Why?
You know, we're
That's
not
so lame.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
That's so lame. Hey, big guy, I'm a big guy too. You want to arm wrestle?
You want to
Hell
live
no.
sometime? No. Or I get people that are
Hell
like,
no.
they like listeners like want to come to like, hey, does your gym have like an open mat like where other people can come? Like, I want to come roll with you. Like, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're good.
Oh, you're on radio? Can I call in? No.
But this
no, you
Krunoff,
can't.
I love the fact that you guys are both taking this seriously, and I'm geeked about this.
Ooh, I'm not taking it seriously. I'll just show up.
Yeah, and someone saying bring Russ in too. I'll ask, hey, like, if Russ wants to be involved in this too, I'll send him to him, and Russ can record his 3 as well. I mean, let Jeff Russ throw his hat in the ring. That's fine.
Coming up next in the club, I learned something today that hopefully you guys haven't either. Something about Jesus and its upcoming situation, and I can't wait to share this with you. More on Primetime. But first, potential champion, Jordan Schultz with sports.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update is brought to you by Redtail Golf Center's annual holiday sale now through December 24th. Details at golfredtail.com. First on the Fan, some big news for the Ducks in college football. Actually, not good news anyways. Jackson Powers Johnson and Bucky Irving are both declaring for the NFL draft and skipping their senior season. Elsewhere, North Carolina quarterback Drake May also declaring for the draft. Huge news for Beaver fans, though, as Notre Dame announcing their quarterback Sam Hartman will not play in the Sun Bowl. The Portland Trail Blazers back in action tonight, hitting the road to take on the Clippers. Jeremy Grant still out. He's in concussion protocol. DeAndre Ayton and Malcolm Brogdon questionable. The Clippers 13.5-point favorites tip off at 7:30 p.m. on Root Sports. And you got a simultaneous doubleheader happening for Monday Night Football right now. And looks like both games looking the exact same, just about halftime in either one. Miami and Tennessee tied at 7. Also, that one's on ESPN, by the way. Also, just under 2 minutes to go until half for the Giants and the Packers. That one is tied at 7 as well. Jordan Love throwing for 102 yards and a touchdown so far in that one. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
This is your home for year-round NFL coverage. The Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
Portland Perks.
Head to Portland Perks for an amazing deal at Wildlife Safari. Admission for two for just $28.75. Wildlife Safari is just south of Roseburg and a fun adventure for the whole family. Limited quantity available only at portlandperks.com.
Happy holidays from the Reynolds Defense Firm. This is McDaniel Reynolds with the Reynolds Defense Firm, and we do one thing and we do it very well. We represent good people facing DUI or other criminal charges. As the holiday parties gear up, and if you have something to drink, please be careful. Because no matter how solid the Reynolds Defense Firm is, or how great our people are, or how effective we are in court, I hope you never need to call us in the first place. And that goes doubly over the holidays. The Reynolds Defense Firm. We are solid. We are here if you need us, and we are very good at what we do.
Hey, it's Souk. Vulcan Design and Construction helped me turn my backyard into a true outdoor living space. Now the area I used a few times a year is my favorite place to hang out year-round. there, and it got me all tingly down below. I was like, yeah, let's. We might. So I think that one is more than likely going to be in there. I like the idea too of going with some Motown because that is a broad range, and there's so many great Motown hits.
Yeah,
which,
like
again,
you want to tackle Marvin Gaye. You want to tackle that guy? Some
Yeah,
Al.
Tower of Power. I mean, you got. Oh god, yeah, this is massive genre.
Don't forget
right
the
there.
Don't forget the Jacksons were Motown.
Oh, there's so much, and I mean, you can go back to like Aretha Franklin. I mean, there's just so much good Motown
I
music.
think even Ray Charles, some of his would fall.
Ooh,
under
there you
Motown.
go. Yes. I like the idea of
Did you
possibly.
guys just basically say black people music from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and
that
70s?
what
Well, no, Ray Charles is technically, I think, a crooner.
What is there?
Is
Is there a white Motown? Like
Actually,
who's
that's
the
a
big?
good question.
Yeah, let me ask you that. That's like saying like when we're talking about NFL DBs and I bring up black guys. Why? Because was there a white corner somewhere that I'm not aware of?
Jason Sehorn's mad at you right now.
Yeah, shocker. If we're talking about Motown, I think we're talking about black singers. And if we're talking about
Yeah.
country western, unless you're bringing up Charlie Pride, I'm pretty sure that country western, like
A
the
bunch
biggest
of white dudes.
Well, the biggest singer in country western music right now is the guy that got caught yelling the N-word at everybody, and it doesn't seem to matter because
Doesn't
people
seem to
love
matter
him.
at all.
Yeah, in fact, Morgan Wallen got more popular. Like, yeah, I knew it. I knew he felt the same way as I do. I think the Beatles could be an interesting category because, again,
Solo or the band?
either way. You want to go something with Lennon, you want to go something with Paul on his own. Beatles could be good. I also love the idea of just doing a love song because I am a sucker for a quality love song. And then standards is another one because then you're getting into the Sinatra. I mean, and that's like when you think about like, especially look at you two donkeys. Like I can picture you guys both up there, like in a bad rented tux, just up there belting out some Burt Bacharach, doing something great. So that's kind of what I've got so far. Again, I'm not settled on any one of these, but that's right now kind of my 5 favorites in the clubhouse.
Well, let's get out of here and let you finish up, and then we'll wrap up the show with a little bit of Jesus talk, and then we'll have the final results of the Croon-Off tomorrow. Stick around. One last to go. Primetime, 1080 The Fan.
It's The Fan on demand.
I'm going to give it to you.
Give it to me.
this with you guys. I came across this. There is going to be a sequel to The Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson's Jesus movie.
Wait, I think, didn't it end with the first one? I mean, that's kind of the... Did he get crucified a second time?
It is The Passion of the Christ Resurrection. It will follow the events surrounding Jesus Christ's resurrection and explore several biblical concepts and themes. The movie will reportedly take place during the 3 days where it will explore Jesus's ascension to the bosom of Abraham, where he would resurrect Old Testament saints and likely focus on his descent into hell, where many Christians believe he was for 3 days before eventually returning
if
to
you
life.
thought the story was made up the first time, wait till you get to this one. This is like Quentin Tarantino's take on World War II, basically. Boy, this isn't going to get awkward with Mel Gibson and like Jim Caviezel and those loons out there putting up Jesus's descent into hell.
Yeah, this ended Jim Caviezel's career in Hollywood, essentially, that first
Boy,
one.
I hate to do this, but I got a real good idea in their mind who's running around hell. This is going to be something. It's going to be something else.
The best part about finding this was finding the comments in the Reddit section.
Oh God.
Doggy.
I can't believe I can't believe we're entering the dawn of the Jesus Christ cinematic universe. The existence of Jesus Goes to Hell implies the existence of Jesus Takes Manhattan, Jesus X, and Freddy versus Jesus. It's just two passion, two Christ.
Dude, the thing though, like this is gonna make $1 gajillion. It will make so much money. I'm a little upset that I didn't think about this first. I can make up some stories about Jesus going to hell. Let's go. This will be, and the best part is because this is going to be obviously completely fictional, although some people would say the whole thing is fictional, but that's up for you. But this thing is just going to be made up, and I guarantee you that there are going to be people like, this is exactly how it went down. I guarantee this is exactly how it went down.
This is directed and developed by Mel Gibson and will star Jim Caviezel.
Told you.
Who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ.
You know what? I think lately, I don't know, I think we can all agree there hasn't been enough hating of the Jews. And so I think we're ripe to really kind of crank something up, because I feel like they've been getting like a real pass lately, and like,
Jesus was a Jew.
Yeah, not a lot of anti-Semitism or anything. And so let's do something to really
fire people up.
Really fire the people up, because like there's not enough anti-Semitism going on. So way to go, Mel. Way to like remind us. Let's hate those Jews. Let's crank it back up.
And it'll be in 2024, which, let I remind you, is a presidential election year.
Oh, I guarantee this gets brought up. I'm being dead serious. This will get brought up in the presidential debates.
Yeah, how do you answer that question? Have you seen the movie? No. That's because you're a sinner. How could you not see this movie? It's so important. Have you seen this movie? Yes, I have seen this movie. See, I'm tired of these religious psychos. Like, how's that going to go?
Jim Carrey plays the devil.
That whole vibe is a little scary to me, because I was a churchgoer as a kid.
Me too. Well, kind of.
Yeah, I can't stand the church. I won't name them on the air, but I couldn't stand the whole vibe anyways. Like, but just the actions of everybody. I remember when the first Passion of the Christ came out, and everybody at church, oh, you have to see, oh, this is the best movie ever made. I mean, normally I don't recommend my congregation to go see rated R movies, because that's not in our religious principles, but I think this is an exception. It was insane. So I can only imagine the fervor that will be Christians foaming at the mouth.
That movie was so crazy.
I can't say I ever saw it.
Oh, dude,
the original Passion?
It is so violently graphic.
Yeah, they just beat I saw like the photos and like the clips, and
there's like the one that sticks out of my mind. There's like
a torture porn thing going on.
Yeah, there's like the ball and chain, but it's the ball's got spikes on it.
It's called the Cat of Nine Tails.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what you're thinking.
And
of.
it hits Jesus in his ribs and completely rips the flesh off. Yep. It is savage.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't think crucifixions are lovely.
No, I don't think
so. I watched Reacher recently again, and they do a couple of those in that one. Yeah, I was good. I didn't need that one.
I'm not going to see this one.
I remember when that came out. You know what? I'm more likely to see this one for comical reasons than I am the first one.
Well, wouldn't this would be great if they just shot it like a Marvel movie? Jason goes down, or Jesus goes down to hell.
I want
and
to see like what
he's got
sort
the
of
Avengers with him, and
well, the idea of Mel Gibson, like the thing that fascinates me is the idea of Mel Gibson's hell. I am very much the notion of hell in the first place, like lake of fire and like devil with horns.
Right.
Remember we had that one pastor that died, and this was like 2 or 3 years ago, and he said like he had a vision, like he saw himself in hell, and like it was a bunch of people with like dog collars on, and demons were walking them, and I think they were playing, I forget what kind of music it was, but they were playing some sort of like rap music down there or whatever. And I was like, wow, that's a hell of a version of hell. I'm just fascinated to see what Mel Gibson is going to come up with the version of hell. Is it going to be like a Bill and Ted's hell? Where it's like your own personal hell? There's like an evil Easter bunny?
No, it's got to be based on all those old famous paintings all over Europe. And
well, the best part is like if
the
you
rivers of lava.
You know,
It's
none of
gotta
that.
be
You know,
that.
none of that stuff is actually in the Bible.
Oh, yeah, I'm fully
the
aware.
idea of like the devil and lakes of hell, that all came from what was Freddie Mercury's parents? The what's the? Someone help me out. It's a religion. It's a Middle Eastern. They're like Zoroastrians.
Oh, I don't know that. They're
Zionists?
No, it's not Zionist. That's
and
a
they're like
whole other thing.
Algerian. No, not Algerian. They're like Albanian. Is that where his family's from?
They're over there. God, it's gonna drive me absolutely crazy.
Sorry, I know nothing about Freddie Mercury regarding
You know
this.
nothing about the greatest rock and roll singer of all time.
I said nothing
Dude,
regarding
you're
this.
So losing
regarding
tomorrow.
his family's
You're
religious
so
practices.
gonna lose tomorrow.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Yeah, they were the oh god, they had the Zoroastria, Zoroastrianism or whatever.
Okay.
It's a religion, and like that's where the idea of like the fire and brimstone, like that whole thing, like that's where that came from. And then it kind of got adopted out to larger stretches, and it was like, all right, this is the version of hell. But it doesn't talk in the scriptures. It doesn't talk a lot about like what
actually it is.
Yeah. So I just love the idea of Mel Gibson's version of hell. That is fascinating to me.
Yeah. So there you go.
Like where that's actually going to happen. That, again, this is going to be like Quentin Tarantino doing a take on World War II. It's going to be the same sort of thing.
That guy's blowing up everywhere. Like I remember watching Django, and then all of a sudden that guy gets shot with a shotgun and goes flying into the upper corner of the house. I was like, whoa, that escalated real quickly. We need you to make some decisions here, my friend.
All right, so this is what I've got. I'll let you guys have a say on this. So this is the 3 categories. We're going to settle this for the Croon-Off tomorrow.
Acapella.
I am going to invite Jeff Rust into this as well too, if he wants to be a part of this. All right. So we are going to do a rock/power ballad. I want it to be a ballad. Okay, it's a rock. So I mean, I don't want to hear "Living on a Prayer." That's not a power ballad.
No.
This needs to be
a pop song.
That's a pop song. I want a rock power ballad from the 2 of you. And we'll give you some leeway here, but let's keep this thing within the confines
Now,
of it.
we're recording these or singing these live?
No, we want these recorded because
Okay.
it's, I get
Live
it.
is weird.
Live is weird, so no. You have between 30 and 60 seconds. You can do as short as the 30, as long as 60. You can choose whatever part of the song you want. There'll be 3 of them. The winner, you win 2 and you win, right? Simple enough. The next one, I definitely think Motown. We need a Motown song.
Love it.
And then here's where I will give you guys the choice, because I was debating between a couple here. You can either do an American standard, so this would fall under the category of Sinatra, Burt Bacharach, anything like that. Or if you want, I do think it'd be kind of fun to do a Disney song, because the Disney catalog is amazing.
I
It
vote
definitely
Disney.
shows off
I
some
vote
range.
Disney as well.
All right, there we go. Disney is the final one.
Disney, Motown, and a power ballad.
And a power
Love it.
ballad. And tomorrow on this very program, we will settle once and for all who indeed is the 1080 The Crooner behind the great Isaac Robb.
Well, my friends, you heard it here. It's all going down. I feel great about this.
I don't.
I really do. Play the hits, my friends. Always stick to your guns.
I'm excited.
That'll do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow from 3 to 6:30, I believe, because we have men's basketball. So we'll cut out early. So club will be dedicated to the Croon-Off. For Jason Sukanik, I'm Patrick Harris, Jordan Schultz behind the glass. Go do something I would do.
Red ships of Spain, red ships